Evolution, 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 evolution is a mystery. It's pseudo-science, secular trickery. You're not related to a dog. Your distant cousin is not a hog. Don't look at your family tree. There's no cousin, dirty fleas. Evolution is a mystery. It's pseudo-science, secular trickery. A stupid religion for a cult, a bedtime story for adults. God's sick given has no clue. Relatives aren't in a zoo. Evolution is a joke for all the morons smoking coke. Go back to school and learn this rule. That still kills and Jesus rules. Evolution dies today. Read your Bible and do what it says. You're not related to a dog. Your distant cousin is not a hog. Go look at your family tree. There's no cousin, dirty fleas. Evolution is a mystery. It's pseudo-science, secular trickery. A stupid religion for a cult, a bedtime story for adults. God's given has no clue. Relatives aren't in a zoo. Evolution is a joke for all the morons smoking coke. Go back to school and learn its rule. Crack still kills and Jesus rules. Evolution dies today. Read your Bible and do what it says. Take your Bible and do what it says. And you know what it's going to do. Evolution dies today for all the morons smoking coke. Go back to school and learn this rule. Crack still kills and Jesus rules. Evolution dies today. Read your Bible and do what it says. Take your Bible and do what it says. Read your Bible and do what it says. Everybody do what it says. Hey, read your Bible and do what it says. Read your Bible and do what it says. Read your Bible and do what it says.
skeptical of the claim.
I'm skeptical.
I'm skeptical.
Yes,
I'm
skeptical.
We are skeptical
Of claims for the ability of
random mutations
And natural selection
to account for the complexity of life.
A careful examination
of the evidence.
For Darwinian theory,
should be encouraged.
I'm skeptical
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 of claims
For the ability of random mutations
and natural selection
to account for
the complexity.
the complexity
to account for the complexity of life.
Careful examination
Examination
of the evidence.
For Darwinian theory
should be encouraged.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Preaching to the Choir Ministries. And today, I wanted I just realized I was muted the entire time. So let's do this again. Okay, so first of all, when I was doing all this, I was bebopping to the music and everything and whatnot. That's number one. Number two, I was telling everybody today we're going to show everybody today why mutations actually argue against evolution. Actually proves that evolution is actually not true. It actually argues more for creation, if you ask me. And I'm going to prove it in this stream by talking about what they teach regarding mutations, which is a change in the DNA sequence of an organism. I have to look over here because if I don't write this stuff down and say it exactly the way the scientists say it, then, you know, G-Man didn't go to school. G-Man doesn't learn. G-Man flunked kindergarten, all this other stuff and whatnot. So I got to say it exactly the way they want me to say it. So you'll be seeing me do that a lot when they want the technical definition for everything. But that's what we're going to be doing today. We're actually going to just have a little bit of fun, poke at evolution a little bit, because let's just keep it real. Nobody in 2024 should be believing in the theory. Nobody. And this guy here in the chat who's been on here multiple times in the past has come on here and he says, why do religious nuts care about evolution anyway? Well, they're forcing children to learn about this in school. There's the philosophical evolution that we see going on every day in the form of racism. Your theory is interfering with our lives because you're saying to everyone pretty much that if they don't believe in the theory, that they're stupid and they're nuts. There's a bunch of reasons on why I'm arguing against the theory of evolution. What you want, my friend, is to be able to argue for evolution and not have any pushback, and not have no one argue against you. You know what I mean? And like I said, those days are long gone. And I've said this in the past, and I say it again. I give God thanks for people like Ken Hovind and the other people that he has brought up in this community, like Nephilim Free, True Empiricism, Pillbox, and some other people, and other people who are in different parts of the community. I think his name is White Rabbit, and just a bunch of Standing for Truth, who's absolutely laying the smack it down on everybody on here. That's arguing for the theory of evolution. Very good job he's doing. We've been on Modern Day Debate arguing against evolution. We've been on Popular Podcast arguing against evolution. We've just been all over the place trying to awaken people up and to show them that what they're saying about biological evolution is just simply not true. It's just not. I'm so confident that none of them can defend the theory of evolution that I'm actually thinking about bringing back my G podcast and doing like 4 or 5 seasons on nothing but the theory of evolution. But I'll do it if I can talk Ken Hovind to come into my channel, though. If I can talk Ken Hovind to come in on each and every episode that I do, you better believe I'm going to stir some things up in the so-called scientific community regarding these things. And this is important because this, the Bible, the Word of God, the actual truth, says this. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. That is what I believe. I'm not a religious nut for believing that I'm the result of an intelligence. I believe the people out there who believe that we are the result of something that is non-intelligent is a nut, and that they need to be exposed thoroughly. And that's exactly what we're going to do today. Before you people say I'm in the New World Order because I did that. That was an accident. Ugh. I got to wash my hands later. I should go behind me and do it right now. But, I give some spiritual water on this. Actually, cleanse my hand for doing that. Ugh. But anyway, so am I talking out of my behind or am I actually telling the truth? Well, let's talk about this here for a minute. Because again, evolutionists like to argue. Oh, let me put the link out there too first before I start, because I invited some people in here and I don't know if they're going to show up, and I better get my arguments out before they come in here. There are some people out there that are going to argue that we are all related. Every living thing on this planet is related, right? They're going to say that I share a common ancestor with apes or monkeys or orangutans or gorillas or let's stick to something close to us according to them. A rat, a gerbil. That I share a common ancestor of all land animals, animals of the sea, animals in the lake, animals in the pond, the birds in the air, and that we share a common ancestor. See, in order for that to be true, we have to find this common ancestor. We know that they try to argue that it was a single cell organism, and they said that this single cell organism went through some changes, right? Or adaptations, or experienced natural selection. And over a very long period of time, after it went from being a single cell to a multi-cell organism, and to, I'm just going to do some skipping now, eukaryotes and some other stuff or whatever, that we eventually, became human or whatever, after billions and 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 billions of years. And the evidence that they give for us is stuff that we can see in the here and now. We call it, there's 2 forms of evolution. There's called microevolution, and then there's macroevolution. Microevolution is the small changes that we can see literally on a day-to-day basis when we see a mother and a father give offspring. When the mother and the father have their child, the child is going to take on certain characteristics of the mother and certain characteristics of the father. And they call this evolution, right? Because the child is taking on their offspring has a certain percentage of the DNA of the father and a certain percentage of a certain amount of DNA from the mother, right? Now, this child might have a slightly smaller nose. It might have longer hair. It might, when it gets older, it might have a bigger bone structure, a smaller, strong bone structure, depending on whose DNA does the most dominating or whatever, right? Or the mistakes and the changes that we see going on in their offspring. We see this in cats and dogs, where if 2 cats make love and they end up having kittens, it could be a black cat and it could be a black and white cat. You'll notice that they got some black cats, they got some white cats, they got some gray cats, some really fluffy white cats, some really fluffy orange cats. And they'll call that evolution. You see the change in their fur? You see, his head is slightly bigger than the other cat. Now imagine if this happened billions of years. Boom, you get a human being. And this is how they argue. I am dead serious. This is how they argue. Some of them will come up with cartoon drawings. Some of them will tell you to use your imagination when talking about this. You know what I mean? Now, somebody in here is pretending to be a scientist dragnet. and I did invite Dragnut in here, but before I invite him in here, and he did go to school and get his degree, I would like for him to cut his camera on to prove he is who he says he is. And I want him to very specifically do this. Come on, Dragnut. I can't see you, dude. Like, I need to see you doing this. Just do this. I'll tell you what, I'll bring you in here. I'll just dominate the show. That's all. Hold on. Let me just do this here real quick. I would love to know if this is Dragnut because it's my nemesis. Hold on, guys. This is gonna get interesting real fast. This is the guy I debated on this topic. But I did invite him, so I kind of asked for this. So let me see something here. Let's bring him on here. This is Dragnut, guys. Just give me a second here. All right, what's up, Dragnut?
I was going to ask what. Oh, I'll fix it. Yeah. Well, why are you inviting me to streams?
I'm inviting you to this stream because I figured you wanted to talk about evolution and you just got tired of talking about the old stuff.
I have not been active on YouTube in any live stream in like what 3 years.
Okay, but still, you did go to school. You do have a degree in plant science. And I know you like to talk about this topic. If you don't want to talk about it, I mean, you can just you can
Yeah, I would like you to stop inviting me to
stop inviting you. Wait a minute.
Yeah,
this is the same guy
I'm in here.
This is the same guy that doesn't want me inviting him into my room, who's harassed me for the last 5 or 16 years on here or whatever.
Okay, and then when I leave you yahoos alone, y'all come and find me every single time.
But anyway, you ain't got nothing to say about mutations and how mutations.
I really don't care. Like
okay.
There's a certain point where you like getting paid for talking about these things ad nauseum.
For nothing. You went to school for nothing.
Sure, if that's what you want to believe.
You also agreed to a debate on plant science with me too at one time.
Did I? Was that 2012 or 14? I can't remember.
On the other channel, and you publicly agreed. As a matter of fact, you actually challenged me to a debate.
Oh, I'm sure I did.
Oh yeah, you did. You did. But I appreciate you coming on here. You don't have anything to say about this. The only thing I can say to you is just drop the evolution.
If I humor you for like 30 minutes, will you stop sending me invites?
I just sent you an invite today.
You sent me more than one. In fact, you sent Nate one as well because he and I hang out in real life, and we laugh that you keep sending us invites.
Okay, when was the last time I sent you an invite? I sent you an invite today.
You sent me one a few months ago, the same time you sent Nate one, and he even said that he popped in one a few months.
Hold on a minute. This is the first time I've invited you to one of my streams, I think in 6 to 8 months. I don't know what you're talking about. That was the last time I invited you. Since you have all these invites, I'll allow you to screen share so you can show everybody.
I'm not interested in doing that. And I just remembered why I don't like talking to you.
Because you're lying. You're lying. So again, okay. Mr. Dragnut, mutations, do they prove the evolution?
Have you not done anything with your life in like the last 3 years? Like, is this really it?
Okay, guys. So he went to school for biology. He went to school for plant science. Clearly don't know nothing about this. I guess the slaughter that he got in that debate against me has gotten to his head. So anyway, Dragnut, I appreciate you coming on. You ain't got nothing to say of any real value. Thank you very much for coming. So anyway, ladies and gents, he clearly didn't want to be here. So Dragnut, you can't tell me I rage kicked you out or anything like that. I asked you the same question over and over and over. You didn't want to answer. That's all fine and well. You also said that I sent you multiple invites, and I gave you an opportunity to screen share to show all of this, and you didn't do it. And you're not going to do it because you know that's a lie. All right. Anyway, let's get back to this. Okay, so we know that the offspring of our parents, when you got a mother and a father and they have their children, that the children are going to come out looking like their parents. When you have a cat and a dog not a cat and a dog. When you have two dogs that's going to have offspring, you know that the offspring is going to look something like their parents or whatever. Maybe their fur might be slightly fluffier, a different color or whatever. These is what they would call the mutations, okay? And this is supposed to prove evolution. Those are not mutations, ladies and gents. That is the direct product. That is the direct product of intelligent design. It has nothing to do with mutations whatsoever. Yes, the offspring is taking on a percentage of the daddy's genetics, and is taking on a certain amount of the genetics of the mother. And then when you get your offspring, kind of look like the both of them. But the point is, they're going to be human beings. A human being is going to produce a human being. A dog is going to produce a dog all the time. An evolutionist will actually tell you that a dog will produce a dog all the time. And notice I'm not saying canine. I'm saying a dog. If evolution was true, at some point in its history, they should be able to predict that that dog would no longer be a dog anymore, that it would be something else. The person that was just in this room knows that. The evolutionists that are watching this right now knows that. So if that dog never becomes something that's not a dog no more, then mutations don't prove that evolution is true. Mutations prove that intelligent design is true. That when God created when this intelligence, or I'm just going to call him God, when God created the reproductive system, he did that knowing that the offspring was going to take certain characteristics from the mom and the dad. What they wanted to do is they wanted to call it mutations, right? And then what they wanted to do is they wanted to try to argue that that's evolution. Here's a human skeleton. I got this from the dollar store to show all of you this here real quick, okay? Because ain't no evolutionists coming in here today because they're going to pretend like it's a boring topic, but they don't want me to start going on Ross channel, Gut Six Gibbons channels, Deeper Dinosaurs channels, and all these other channels, and real channels, people who actually get respect. And I can show you how many times they make their videos arguing that the theory of evolution is true. He forgets that they're going to our schools and lying to our children and telling our children that they share a common ancestor with a dog and a cat. And there's no scientific proof for that. There's a reason why I have that in the background. There is no repeatable evidence to support that. As a matter of fact, let me just show you guys this real quick so you can all see it for the people that just got here. There's nothing that is observable, testable, or repeatable where you can actually prove that we share a common ancestor with the dog. But what they will do is they'll talk about DNA, and they'll talk about how close our DNA is with dogs, and they'll say, you see, that's proof. No, that's just proof of a common designer. You don't have to submit to the evolutionists. You don't have to become somebody who believes in false science appearing real. Okay? You don't have to believe that in order to be productive in our society, right? So anyway, I got this skeleton here, right? A skull, rib cage, you got the hip, you got the legs and all this other stuff, and you got the feet. Not the best skeleton in the world. In order for mutation to be true, something on here would have to be new information. In other words, there would have to be some new anatomy that's going to take place when whatever this was, a male or a woman, decided to have sex with the opposite partner, and they have offspring. And when they have the offspring, in order for it to be evolution, we have to see changes in this. New information, not existing information. These bones here is existing information. So if one comes out longer and one comes out shorter, that is existing information. If their head is slightly bigger and their head is slightly smaller, that's not new information. If their hands are slightly bigger or smaller, even if they have an extra finger, that is not new information. In order for evolution to be true, you would have to be able to get new information. You would have to get new information. You would have to get new information from these mutations. And that's simply not the case. Definitely. And if you're not going to get new information, where are you getting this? That I share a common ancestor with an orangutan. Let me show you guys something here real quick. Besides this quote here from this scientist who says evolution is unproven, unprovable. We believe it only because of the only alternative is special creation, and that is unthinkable, which is why they believe this stuff. And the reason why I'm leaving that guy's comment in the front, because I want him to know what my beef is and what my gripe is with evolutionists. Okay, this is his book, The Origin of Species, from Charles Darwin. Okay, The Origin of Species by means of natural selection, right? They have you read this in school. They teach you this in the textbooks, and they teach you this as if it's actually true. And then this destroys the faith of Christians. Instead of them actually believing that God created the heavens and the earth and looking at and following the evidence where it actually leads, which is to God, and actually looking at creation, They follow the evidence and they pretend that they're looking at it and come to the conclusion that God, created us in the image of cats and dogs and not in his own image. Like, you can't even believe that you're made in the image of God if you believe that you share a common ancestor with a cat and dog. The Bible, nowhere in the Bible does it say that a cat and a dog was made in the image of God. Nowhere in the Bible does it say bears, giraffes, lions, tigers, peanuts, bananas, or any of these things were made in the image of God. Man was made in the image of God. He made us male and female. Okay, we do not share a common ancestor with zoo animals. We don't. We have dominion over these animals, but we do not share a common ancestor with them. We have a common creator. Okay, and if anybody disagrees with that, the link is in the description there. Okay, so I'll put the link there again. Now, mind you, if a scientist is not willing to talk about this, I don't expect the people who look up to him to come in here either. That is the genius of having somebody like that come in and chicken out and not actually want to talk about this. Remember, we Christians are supposed to be crazy. We're uneducated. We're fools. We don't know a lot about biology and science, yet and still not even their scientists want to deal with us on this particular topic. Mutations do not prove that evolution is true. Mutations prove that evolution is wrong. And I got a video that I want to show you guys. This is why I'm happy he didn't stay in here, because I don't have to fool around with the foolishness. I got a video I want you guys to see. First, it's going to be from our favorite Christian apologist when it comes to evolution. Well, listen to him first. It's only about a minute. And this is going to be Dr. Ken Hovind. So let's go to him real quick. Somebody who actually is qualified to talk about this and didn't just go to school to pretend like they actually cared about this topic. Let's get into this.
Mutations do not produce any kind of evolution. Anybody that studies the subject will tell you that. Mutations scramble information that's already existing. Here's a five-legged bull. There's no new information added. A short-legged sheep. Again, no new information. It's a loss of information. Here's a two-headed turtle. That's a mutant. It's not ninja, but he's mutant. He's going to freeze first winter because nobody makes a double-neck turtleneck sweater. Okay? No. Scrambling up existing genes.
God raised up Dr. Ken Hovind to talk about this topic. God made a way for people who don't have college degrees. He made a way for people who don't specialize in biology to be able to argue and refute the theory of evolution. You want to talk about a guy who's hated in this topic? You want to know a guy who is absolutely hated by the world? It is Dr. Ken Hovind, because of his work against Darwinian evolution.
Gene code will not give you something totally new. That's all mutations do, is scramble up things. This textbook says normal fruit flies have 2 wings. This mutant has 4. This rare mutation, like most mutations, is harmful. Watch what it says now. Beneficial mutations are the raw material for natural selection. Excuse me? Why don't they give an example of a beneficial mutation? Why did they show us a bad one? And there are millions of those, happen all the time. But they told us the good ones is how it works. Show me a good one. You know why they didn't show us a good mutation? Nobody's ever seen one. One guy said, oh yeah, people in Africa that get sickle cell anemia are less likely to get malaria. Oh, that's brilliant. That's like saying if you cut off your legs, you can't get athlete's foot. Both sickle cell and malaria are negative. You think that process is going to turn a rock to a human in 4.6 billion years? That's the one they always bring out. Well, if you think that's going to do it, I admire your faith. I don't admire your intelligence, but I do admire your faith, okay?
Okay, so I wanted to play that to let everybody know that I'm not just talking out of my behind, and I'm actually going to show you another scientist actually talking about this too, and down talking evolution. Now, again, that comment is up there. Is why do religious nuts care about evolution anyway? We want it out of our schools. Let me say this again. We want it out of our schools. We want children to not be lied to about this theory. We want this out the curriculums. We don't want this taught in college, because if Christianity cannot be taught in school, then this religious evolution should not be taught in school. Let me say this again. this religious evolution should not be in school at all. Wait a minute. You know, Dragnut lost his opportunity to actually talk to this individual, but now we have my buddy True Empiricism's here. So I'm going to bring him in here, and I invited some other people. We'll see if they'll actually show up. But if this is the real True Empiricism, this is another guy who's qualified to talk about this topic, and not just some random guy who just went to school so he can put on his white jacket and look smart and not actually be smart. So let's actually get him in here. What's up, True?
What's up, G-Man?
What's going on, my brother from another mother? What's going on?
I'm doing okay. I got a little bit of news.
Okay.
I was in a message with Matt Delahunty, and it looks like he's accepted a debate with me. He just said set it up. So I'm reaching out to some people. One guy, pretty large channel. He said he might be willing to debate. He said he might be willing to host the debate. So we'll see what happens.
I would love to watch it. What is he going to debate you on? Does God exist or the evolution topic?
I don't care what he debates, man. He can pick whatever topic he wants. With him, I don't really feel like I need to prepare. I've listened to him long enough to know what he's going to say before he says it. You know what I mean?
I know this, though. If you're going to deal with him, he's a denialist. So be ready for it.
I know that, yeah. I know that, but I've listened to this guy like 12, 13 years since I've been here on YouTube. If you listen to one debate, all of his debates are basically the same. You know what I mean? So it's a unique situation with him.
Hey, True. In this stream, I'm talking about why mutations prove evolution is not actual science. And when I say evolution, you know what I mean. I'm talking about like not microevolution, but macro, right? Where they try to say that we're related to cats and dogs and all this other stuff and whatnot, right? Dragnut was in here. And I haven't seen Dragnut in a while because he kind of disappeared. He went on an exodus because the community turned on him. And he came in here and tried to belittle and downplay the stream that I'm doing right now. And then I got a screen here.
You said Dragnut was in here?
Care about evolution anyway. And they tend to forget all of the stuff that they have done politically, what they're doing politically now, what they've done politically in the past, how they force children to believe this bedtime story is actually being true. You know what I mean? And they don't understand this, you know, how we really feel about this. So I was just pointing out how mutations don't actually prove that evolution is true. But I believe that evolution actually points to, I'm sorry, not evolution. Mutations actually point to an intelligent designer and not, you know, what they claim with, you know, with mutations or whatever, not on the macro level.
Well, I mean, my approach has always been a little bit different than most theists here. I think obviously evolution is science. You know, it's legitimate science. It's just there's a lot of flaws.
Which one?
Well, just the evolutionary theory is a legitimate theory, but
you talking about macro or
micro? Well, obviously, I wouldn't agree with macro.
Well, and that's important. That's why you got to point that out, because if you say that it's macro, then you're saying that we do share a common ancestor.
No, we don't share a common ancestor for sure, for many reasons. I've talked about this so many times, but I would say that even if you grant everything that evolutionists say, just for the sake of argument, even if you say that macroevolution is true, that we all share a common ancestor, it's still going to be inferior to intelligent design. So it's like, that doesn't really matter because there is just better explanatory power from an ID perspective. But no, I mean, your viewers already know what my take is on it. They already know how I feel about the topic.
Not all of them. I got new viewers now. Some of them are from the Hebrew Israelite crowd. I mean, they're not here now. And then you got some of the people from back in the great debate days or whatever. You know what I mean? But what they're trying to do now, their strategy on YouTube now is to try to downplay that they don't really care about the topic. Well, if you don't care about the topic, then allow us to go to the polls, to go there and get it taken out of our schools because they know that it's wrong. You know what I mean? Because I'm going to start getting pretty vocal about this and aggressive. I'm actually thinking, because I have this show called the G Podcast I was doing on here where I dealt with the Hebrew Israelites. I'm actually thinking about doing that for evolution now to show them the severity of it and what's going on in our schools because of this theory. You know, people thinking that you're subhuman or you're not human at all, you know, and they're going around shooting everybody and whatnot. And then
the most definitely affects our culture for sure. If you think that we just randomly, got here through some sort of gradual reductionist, process from Big Bang to, abiogenesis and evolutionary theory, then, God and morals are really up in the air, you know what I mean? Anything goes sort of thing. But that all goes to the arguments that we talk about with subjective morality, objective morality. If God doesn't exist, then nothing really matters. So I do agree with that. I mean, evolutionary theory in the schools, it does have a big impact on how people react and behave in society, for sure.
Exactly. Exactly. You remember the debate I had with Dragner, right? When we actually debated this topic, right? He went in there as a teacher instead of actually going in there and actually proving that it was true. I don't think any of them can really do that at the end of the day. And when I say any of them, it doesn't matter how many degrees they got. It was this lady on here named Scientist Mel who had 4 PhDs. You know what I mean? And it doesn't matter how many degrees they got. None of them can actually prove that the theory is actually true. But the person that I want to see you talk to true is Gutsick Given. That's the person that you need to challenge the debate to.
Well, I remember Scientist Mel. She was kind of ridiculous. When I disagreed with her over something on abiogenesis, actually, a long time ago, she said I was a sexist and like a misogynist or something like that. Like, well, I can't agree. If I disagree with you because you're a woman, then basically I'm just like the worst person in the world, or could it be just I don't agree with you? I think you're wrong. She was a little silly. But you brought up Gutswick, I believe that's what her name is, before to me. I don't think I've ever chatted with her before.
Yeah, Gutsick Given is her name. But I gotta admit though, out of all of them, I find her to be more difficult than some of the other people though. When she actually debates, some of these other people on here are easy. Even Dave or Dinosaur, you would have a field day with that guy, and some of the other company that she keeps. But she's more difficult than a lot of them are. But she doesn't like it when you hit her with the mutation questions. When you start talking to her about like how do you get new anatomy from random mutations, she doesn't like that. She actually gets mad rather quick when you ask that question because even she knows that you can't use mutation as an argument to prove that evolution is true. You can't do it.
No. Well, I've been
Yeah.
I've been on that topic for a long time when I was active here. I've been more so into like history and philosophy, those kinds of things. That's where I've had um, my interests as of late. But yeah, I think that there's a lot of problems with evolutionary theory for sure. I've talked about Homo erectus, Homo archaic, Homo neanderthal, and a lot of the early man, like um, going all the way back hundreds of thousands of years. And if you look at the early apes before that, where they try to make that connection, you're really just looking at a diversity of man, and you're looking at a diversity of ape, and that assumption that because there's this gradual similarity, therefore we share a common ancestor. It's nonsense. I know there's more to it than that. Like they'll bring up vitamin C being able to be metabolized with chimpanzees and similarities that we might have, but they're never going to really give a compelling case by pointing out similarities, looking at things through a sort of the lens of apathenia. I've talked about that before in the past. Like you look at clouds and you see certain faces. That's sort of what they're doing with all of this. The what's going to be compelling to me is if they account for those differences by seeing if the changes that they'll posit, mutation, horizontal gene transfer, whatever it is, can actually account for the changes. That being said, I would agree that it's evolutionary theory is a legitimate theory in science. It's just that because of that fact, because we know intelligence has creative ability, there's a cause and effect attribute there that we can trace to intelligence that is already there, and evolution is trying to account for that property, and it just simply can't. So because of that, even if we're granted as being a theory, it's always going to be inferior to that of intelligent design, because what it's trying to do, agents can already do that. Intelligent agents can already do that. So to me, it's like people who got their mind made up, who accept evolutionary theory, you're really never going to change their mind. But regardless of that issue, there are facts in science that contradict it. One of the things that I would always bring up in the past is that if you look at the Precambrian era, which took about 580 million years, I think it was the majority of the geological time scale, you don't see all the major phyla come into existence. So it's like this idea that they have of things gradually diverging into all the creatures that we have here now. In reality, at the bottom of the fossil record, what we know for a fact is that there was nothing but a couple of cyanobacteria and some fauna and a couple of organisms scattered all over the place. And then, boom, all major phyla are there. Then they seem to diverge a little bit according to them in the fossil record. Then they all get extinct. And then all of a sudden, there's a completely different body plan for all creatures. Like things are skipping for millions of years according to them. So, like, there's a lot of problems and there's a lot of reasons why I have my issues with it. But um, I don't think it's ever going to convince them otherwise. You know what I mean?
We got somebody else in the room. Wild Heart Resurrection is in here. How you doing, Wild Heart? Please let everybody know who you are and what you believe and what's on your mind.
I'm an atheist.
The other guy from yesterday. Okay.
Yeah. I've just started watching, so I'll have to catch up with what you're talking about. I don't want to interrupt you.
All right. So, do you have anything to say based on what I've been saying or what True has been saying regarding mutations and the theory of evolution?
That's what I mean. I've literally just started watching, but on evolution, I've never really been able to understand what religious people have got against evolution. I mean, you could prove evolution wrong tomorrow. You still have to prove that God exists. You still have to demonstrate that God exists. It doesn't matter whether evolution's right or wrong. It doesn't help you.
Well, I would say that's sort of the problem that I have from the opposite end of it. You know what I mean? Because there's actually a lot of people in science that are Catholic or that say that they believe in God that also subscribe to evolution, but it's not really necessarily the theory of evolution. They think that God has had its hand in it. You know what I mean? And in the same way, you'll see a lot of very prominent, hardcore militant atheists like Alan Ra religiously holding to evolution as if this somehow replaces God. The reality is that evolution can only take place after life is already here. My issue that I have with it is that the claims that are made in it, we know flat out is incorrect according to mainstream science. And I think that a lot of things that happen, like young earth creationists, I'm not a young earth creationist. I think that what ends up happening is that you have people automatically jumping and saying, oh, you're a young earth creationist or you're an ID proponent. That's why you don't accept evolution. No, there are mainstream scientific facts that contradict the idea of evolution that's presented to everybody. Yes, obviously it's a dominant view in science, but there's also a lot of science that contradict it. And that's the reason why I can't hold to it. So, I mean, I can agree that it's a scientific theory, but I also have to acknowledge that there are facts that contradict this theory or that don't show it to be exactly what is claimed. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I mean, why not just concentrate on just demonstrating God exists? Just forget
that's no problem. I mean, I have no problem.
Once you demonstrate God exists.
Well, it's not like my criticisms towards evolution have nothing to do with God. It has to do with the facts. The reason why I don't accept evolution is because there are facts in science that contradict it. The reason why I'm more so confident in God is because the science supports it, not just the philosophical conclusions that seem to be more rational that God exists, like objective morality or subjective morality, those kinds of powerful arguments, on an ethical level. But if you look at things for like the odds of life coming about from non-life is like 1 in 17 with 54 zeros behind a chance on it happening. If the odds are it didn't happen, then it didn't happen. You know what I mean? If it's not likely that it happened, then why am I gonna strongly try to go into that direction to assume that it happened? I have no reason to believe that. I only have reasons not to believe that. You know what I mean?
I actually just had this exact argument. And my point was, as far as I know, no one's been able to demonstrate that anything supernatural exists, like scientifically. We don't have a method for doing that at the moment. What
do you mean by that? What do you mean by supernatural?
We don't have a method for demonstrating supernatural causation of anything. We just don't know how to do it. We don't
Well,
know how
if
to
the I think I don't agree with that. I think the universe itself is an example that that there is a supernatural. And what I mean by that is, according to Stephen Hawking and Roger Penrose, they can trace things back to a certain plain time. Time, space, matter, and energy began to exist. The universe had a cause. It had a beginning. So if time, space, matter, and energy began to exist and it had a cause, then whatever was before it had to have been a supernatural cause, because the natural wasn't here to begin with.
What
was
would
it?
stop it? What would stop it just being energy? What would stop it just energy as always existed?
How could we say that?
That would still be natural. It wouldn't be supernatural.
But if time, space, matter, and energy began to exist, then whatever caused it, which was outside of it,
I got you. Yeah. Sorry.
couldn't have caused it. You get what I'm trying to say? So the cause had to have been a supernatural cause, because the natural wasn't there to cause itself.
But why would it have to be, again, why would it have to be supernatural? Why couldn't it just be, we don't know?
We can't say that we don't know if the evidence points to, if we do know it. Well, the thing is, we can't say that we don't know if evidence is pointing to a direction to give us an answer. You know what I mean? When you say you don't know, when the evidence is pointing to an actual answer that indicates we do know, then comes off to me as willful ignorance.
That's why I'm asking, what is the evidence that's pointing towards it having to be supernatural? What is that evidence?
Well, I just gave you the evidence.
No, you said we don't know what it is, but it's outside of this universe. Just because it's outside of this universe doesn't mean.
No, Roger Penrose looked at inflation, and he suspected that it could be eternal into the future. But tracing back the inflation and the red shift, we can see that the universe had a cause. So the evidence is the inflation that we're seeing in the universe.
Yeah, but that demonstrates
that's Roger Penrose. He's not like some religious.
That just demonstrates the universe began to exist. It doesn't demonstrate that whatever was before it was supernatural. Whatever was before it could still be natural, just outside of the universe.
If it began to exist, you're saying that it didn't have a cause, it just always was. That's what you're implying.
It began to exist. No,
so if it began to exist, it had a cause.
No, something.
And we're talking about the universe in total, and in its totality. If we're talking about the universe in its totality, everything, physical, energy, everything, right? Then that's what we're sort of talking about, right? That there was nothing before that. So what was before that? It couldn't have been time, couldn't have been space, it couldn't have been energy. So it was beyond the natural. Whatever caused the universe to begin to exist couldn't have been the universe, because it didn't cause. You're saying that it caused itself.
What about, and I'm not saying putting this forward, but what about something like a multiverse?
Well, what evidence do we have for a multiverse?
I'm not saying that is the case, but you can't rule it out, is what I'm saying. So you can't say it's supernatural, because if it is a multiverse, I'm not saying it is, but if it was, that might be natural.
So anything but God, basically.
No, I'm saying literally anything. But unless you can rule out every possible natural cause, then you can't say it's necessarily supernatural.
Well, I'm saying that if you're saying that it's just more natural, that we have no reason to believe it was more natural, because this is the only universe that we have available. We have no evidence that there are other universes out there. And you're using that for replacement for the only thing that logically follows. If the universe in its totality began to exist, what reason do we have to believe that the universe somehow outside of itself caused itself?
I'm not saying it did. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying we don't know. All we know is up to the Planck time. We don't know what happened before that. It might have been supernatural. It might have been natural.
You're right. You're right. We don't know what happened before that.
You can't say it definitely wasn't natural. It could have been. We don't know what happened.
What I'm saying is that it doesn't logically make sense for you to say that it was natural.
I'm not saying it was. I'm not saying
by saying that, you're implying that there are other universes.
Sorry. I'm not saying it was natural. I'm saying you can't say that it definitely wasn't natural. We don't know.
If we don't know, then how do you know it? Then how do you know?
How do you know that? I don't know. It might have been supernatural. It might have been natural. We don't know. But
Okay, so if you don't know if it was
if
natural,
you don't know, you also can
science. If you don't know that it's natural and you don't know that it's supernatural, how can you call it science?
What do you mean?
Science is testable and it is repeatable and it is observable. How do you know it's science if you don't know if it's natural or supernatural?
Well, it definitely happened. Whether we can test it or not is a different matter.
Okay, so how do we know this then? Besides your faith in it, and besides your religious faith in it, how do you know these things?
I don't understand the question. The universe obviously began to exist. We know that much.
But you have to put it on a. You have to. I think the issue is that what is reasonable to believe? What is reasonable to believe? Can I say something really quick, please?
Yes.
What is reasonable to believe? Okay, we don't know if there are other universes out there, right?
Yeah.
And all we know is that this universe exists.
Yeah.
So if the natural in its totality, as far as we know, is in this universe, I don't get how you're saying that there could be more natural outside of what is natural to cause itself. I mean, that just doesn't make any sense. To sort of push away God, an outside natural cause for some sort of.
I don't understand why you're limiting the natural to this universe. Why is natural or can only exist within?
Well, I'm just going with what logically follows. I don't. I'm not saying. Well, I'm not limiting anything, but there's no evidence for other universes out there. There's only this universe.
There's no evidence for the supernatural either.
Well, if the universe in its totality is what we're discussing here, then whatever caused it had to have been outside of that.
That's what I mean. That's what you're doing. You're limiting the natural to what's inside this universe.
No, I'm just going with what makes sense.
I don't know why.
If the universe in its totality is what we're discussing, then why would we be discussing other universes?
But if something does exist outside this universe, why couldn't that thing that exists outside this universe?
What reason do we have to believe that?
But why what exists outside the universe be supernatural? Why couldn't it be natural? I don't understand why you're limiting it to.
I'm not limiting anything. I'm just going by what the evidence is.
So something could exist outside this universe and it could be natural. Can we agree on
that? Well, what I'm saying, so whatever caused it to happen had to have been beyond the natural. Because we're talking about the natural. The universe wasn't here yet.
Supernatural. That's what you're limiting it to, the supernatural. You're saying something could exist outside the universe.
Well, you can say it's fair for you to say that it's other universes, but there's nothing that logically concludes that there's other universes out there. There's no reason to believe in other universes. All we know is that the universe is available here, right? And if we're talking about it beginning to exist, then it's not going to cause itself, right? So if the natural started, then whatever started it, how is it going to be the natural? Like I need an example of something causing itself to exist. I can't cause myself to exist. A chair doesn't cause itself to be created. You know what I mean? Something has to cause it. So how is the universe going to cause itself if we're talking about the natural in its totality?
You don't understand what I'm saying. You're saying this universe began to exist, so this universe is all that can be natural. Nothing outside this universe can be natural, and I don't know why you're coming to
that. No, there could be other universes out there. You could talk about M theory, cyclic type erotic theory, whatever theory you want. But what evidence is there that there are other universes? Nothing logically follows for me to conclude that there's other natural universes out there. This is the only universe we have available.
So what evidence is there that something supernatural is outside this universe?
Because if the universe in its totality is what we're discussing here now, then the universe wasn't before itself to make itself. Do you understand that? If the universe began, it wasn't here before it began to make itself. So it had to have been something that was obviously not natural because the natural wasn't here yet.
That's what I'm...
Right? So it had to have been something that was beyond it.
We're going to have to move on because you obviously don't understand what I'm saying. I get
what you're saying.
I don't know why there can't be a natural outside of this universe. Something exists that's natural outside of this universe. Why are
Okay,
you
so
limiting the natural to what's inside this universe?
Okay, so what's a proof for it then? What is the argument or the evidence or the philosophy? What do you have to present that there is something natural outside of this universe?
I'm not saying there is, but what you're doing is ruling the natural out. You're saying it has to be supernatural. It can't possibly be natural. I'm saying I don't know. I don't know whether it's natural or supernatural. You're saying it's definitely supernatural, and I don't know why you're doing that.
But this is what we're talking about. In order for it to be considered science, what you just suggested about the natural being behind this universe, you have to be able to give a thought, an idea, something other than Cartoon Network where you talk about the multiverse. The only time I ever hear anything about a multiverse, to be honest, is when I'm watching DC or Marvel. Outside of that, nobody talks about the multiverse, okay? Or what's behind the universe. So give me something that I can use right now scientifically in a form of a theory or something that says that there's something natural behind the universe.
I'm not saying there is something natural. I'm saying we can't rule it out. You're ruling it out. You're saying it can't possibly be natural. It has to be supernatural. I'm saying I don't know whether it's natural or supernatural. We don't know. Let's do more tests and find out. Maybe some point in the future we'll find out. But you're ruling something out, and I don't know why you're ruling out the natural.
I know why I'm ruling it out, because it's not science. I mean, now, if you want to say that you have a faith that there's something natural behind the universe, then that's fine. And when I say faith, I'm going to be very specific about this. Blind faith. If you're going to say that you have blind faith that there is something natural behind the universe, then say it. And call it religious and call it what you need to call it. But don't call it science, because it's not testable, it's not observable, and it's not repeatable. You can't do it.
Okay. Is the supernatural testable, observable?
Of course it is. Absolutely it is.
It is. Do you have a method for demonstrating the supernatural exists?
There's a bunch of different reasons about
this. Do you have a method for demonstrating the supernatural exists?
Absolutely, I do. Number one, the mechanism is faith.
Yeah.
But you can also see something, you can also observe it, and you can test it over and over and over. We call it prayer. When we pray to a God that is outside of hold on a minute. When we pray to a God that is outside of time and space, and that God outside of time and space intervenes in our lives, that is proof that he exists, and that a supernatural can be outside of the universe. Now, if you say that's not the case, then now you got to deny all of the people out there that is saying that I prayed to God and God answered my prayer. You can sit there and be all skeptical all you want, but there are people out there saying that they have prayed. God has answered those prayers. Mind you, one of the prayers is the sinner's prayer.
How do you know God answered those? How do you know God? How do you scientifically demonstrate that God answered any of those prayers? How do you rule out every natural cause? How do you demonstrate it was definitely God?
That's easy. Salvation. Yeah. Let's stick with that. Salvation. Now, let's talk about natural causes for salvation. First of all, what does a person got to do to be saved? Person's got to repent of their sins, and they have to cry out to Jesus, confess his name, believe in their heart that God rose up from the dead, and the Bible says that person's going to be saved. And they're going to be changed from the inside out. We can look at the Apostle Peter as an example. We can look at the Apostle Paul as an example. We can look at the crackhead who tried to quit drugs as many times as he could, went to as many meetings as he could. He got on his knees, he prayed, got up, no longer a crackhead.
I asked for you to demonstrate that God has answered any prayers, and we're going into salvation and Peter. It's just a massive rabbit hole. Can you demonstrate scientifically that God has ever answered a prayer?
I gave you something that happens in this country almost on a daily basis in this country.
People think God
happens all the time. We call it the
people think it. Can you scientifically demonstrate that God does?
Of course I can. Let's look at Peter. In the scriptures, right? Now I know you didn't read the Bible because we went through this yesterday.
I did read the Bible. I have read the Bible.
Before Jesus was crucified, was Peter a coward?
A coward. So
was he a coward? Before Jesus was crucified, was Peter a coward? Yes or no?
I'm not sure. I've only read it
You're
once.
not sure because you never read the Gospels. He was a coward.
I have honestly.
He denied
It doesn't matter, but
Jesus.
I've read it.
He denied Jesus 3 times.
Oh, he's the one that denied. Yeah, I wasn't sure.
He
Yeah,
denied
he was
Jesus
a
3
coward.
times.
Yeah,
Right? He denied 3 times. What happened on the day of Pentecost when the Holy Spirit came upon him? Was he a coward? No. He was willing to die, even to being crucified upside down, according to tradition. So I don't know where you're getting this, that there's no evidence that a God outside of time and space actually exists. What are you talking about? There's plenty of
it. The problem is, have you heard the phrase, the Bible is the claim? The Bible isn't the proof. The Bible is the claim. The Bible, it's stories. It's claim that Peter got the Spirit. It's a claim that Jesus resurrected. It's a claim that God created the world. It's not a demonstration of it. You can't say it says it in the Bible, therefore it's true. That's not a demonstration. That's not a scientific demonstration.
Okay, so you want me to prove the Bible?
Yeah.
Okay, so what part of the Bible do you want me to prove?
Any of it.
No, I mean, like, just pick one book. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus. Pick any book in the Bible that has never been historically verified. Now, mind you, before you answer this question, make sure. Now, you haven't read the Bible. You haven't read it.
No, honestly, I have
actually read.
And I've read it once. I didn't memorize much of it, but I have read it well. It doesn't matter whether you believe me or not, but honestly, I have read it once, all the way through. It doesn't matter, but I have. Yeah.
Okay, sir. So to make this conversation productive, I would like for you to show me a book in the Bible that has not been proven to be historically accurate.
Oh no, I mean,
I know you're going on Google.
No, I'm gonna
about Daniel, Exodus, a couple of other books. I can tell you the arguments you're going to say before you say them. But the point is, let's get to it. I'm trying to speed this up a little bit.
Yeah, anything supernatural, any supernatural claim in the Bible. Can you demonstrate any of them? I agree that places exist and things might have happened. I'm talking about anything supernatural that is claimed in the Bible. Can you scientifically demonstrate that those supernatural things happened and how?
Yes, I can. And are you sure that's the line of argumentation that you want to use?
Yeah.
Okay. Don't say nothing for about 40 seconds because I want you to think about this one here for a minute. Are you really sure you want to have this conversation?
Yeah. If God exists, I want to know. If God exists, I want to know. It's in my best interest that I know.
Did you forget everything that you just said, the true empiricism, when y'all talking about the universe? Did you just forget all of that? It's just like that? You just forgot all of that?
No.
Are you sure you want to have this conversation? Because this is going to be quick.
No, I asked him to demonstrate this. I asked him to demonstrate the supernatural exists outside of the universe. I'm asking you to demonstrate that the supernatural exists inside the universe.
Do you agree that? Do you agree that when something is supernatural, it cannot be verified scientifically?
So you're going to demonstrate the undemonstrable.
That's not what I asked you. It's in order for something to be supernatural, it cannot be proven scientifically, right?
I agree. Yeah, we don't have a method to demonstrate the supernatural.
Okay.
What I'm asking you to do is demonstrate the supernatural, and you said you could.
Let's talk about your bang real quick. Okay, so let's stop here. Let's talk about your big bang for a moment. Okay. Yeah. You, not me, believe that matter and energy got really hot. It was about the size. Hold on a minute. And this dot was, about the size of a dot on this piece of paper right here. I have to get really close so you can see that dot there. Okay. And that little dot got. Hold on a minute. Let me try to put this on here because I want to make sure I'm gonna get my jokes out. Okay, that little dot got so hot. It got so hot that it expanded and created the universe. My question for you is, where did that dot come from?
I have not got a clue, and as far as I know, no one knows. We don't know what happened before the planet.
We don't even know if the dot existed. We don't know where the dot came from. Give me a scientific.
We know it existed. We know it existed. We don't know
it. A scientific explanation on how this dot could exist.
We don't have one. No one knows. Okay. That's what I said before.
Definition for something to be now. Listen. Don't interrupt me. The definition for the way that we know that something is supernatural is that when it cannot be verified with science. That is what you guys have said on here for the last whatever years that YouTube has been around. If it can't be proven scientifically, then it's supernatural, right? So
definition of supernatural.
What's the definition of supernatural?
outside of the natural. If it can't be demonstrated,
it's outside of time and space, right?
If it can't be demonstrated, right? You can't claim it exists because there's no way of knowing it exists.
But it's something miraculous, right?
If it can't be demonstrated, how can you say that it exists?
It cannot be demonstrated scientifically. That's why. This is how I know you're not listening. You don't understand. You're already
okay. If you can't demonstrate it scientifically, how else would you demonstrate it?
I am not done. You've already lost, and I'm going to show you why. You just told me to demonstrate to you something in the Bible that was supernatural. Here's my Bible. Let's look at the claim here real quick. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. That would mean the universe as well, too. You said that there was no scientific explanation for that singularity, because that's what it would be called, that singularity, to get so hot and to be able to expand. Okay.
I'm not saying there isn't one. I'm saying we don't know it.
Aaron Raw couldn't answer that question. Not even Broke Nut, the science guy, when he was in here, couldn't answer that question. My question for you is this: if you can't give me a scientific explanation for this, then that event was supernatural.
No, there's a difference between there not being an explanation and us not knowing the explanation. There could have been a natural explanation for the Big Bang, but we don't know it. That's different from the not being.
You're making a fool out of yourself.
Just because we don't know something doesn't make it supernatural.
That's not what you're saying.
That's God of the gaps.
Some of them will come in here and talk about E equals MC squared. Some of them will come in here and claim that a singularity is a dead star. Some of them will come in here and say all kinds of different things.
Well,
if they don't know, and they don't know scientifically, then it could be considered a miracle if it actually happened. Now, let me tell you this too.
No,
I'm gonna give you something miraculous that happened in Scripture. Then you tell me how it could have happened scientifically. Yeah. Jesus spoke to a dead person and they rose from the dead. Explain to me how that happens scientifically.
You demonstrate that it did happen. I know it says it in the Bible. You demonstrate that it actually happened.
Okay, you're being a denialist now. Instead of you answering my question, now listen, you ain't got to believe the event happened in the Bible. You ain't got to believe the event happened. Okay? The point is, you want to know how I know that supernatural things happen, right? My argument is, with the thing that you keep ducking and running from, is that if you cannot explain how something happens scientifically, then it has to be supernatural, right? So we looked at the Big Bang. You don't have a scientific explanation for your cosmic evolution. You have no explanation for that whatsoever. I'm not done yet. I am not done. You have no explanation for cosmic evolution.
I have bad memory. That's
you have no problem with you cannot explain cosmic evolution. Okay. If you cannot do it, then it was a supernatural event. All I got to do is ask you what caused it. You believe in the law of cause and effect. What caused it? Where did the material come from?
Right. Can I just speak for a couple of seconds? Right. What I'm saying is, just because we don't know how something happened, that doesn't make it supernatural. It doesn't make it unscientific. The fact that we don't know how something happened doesn't automatically make it supernatural. It just means we don't know. I disagree with your definition of supernatural.
Okay, so you can disagree with me on that one. Are there science books that talk about how the Big Bang happened? Come on, liar. Come on.
No, I thought I was still muted, that's all.
Are there science books that explain how the Big Bang happened?
There are science books that, like, what do they call it? Posturize.
Come on, I'm going to show this
how it could have happened. There are no science books that say how the Big Bang happened definitively. There
so let me get this straight here. Kids are going to school. Wait a minute. Hold on a minute. So kids are going to school and being taught that this event happened and there's no proof for it whatsoever.
No, there's proof that it happened.
Where's the proof?
We don't know how.
We don't know how?
It definitely happened.
That is a lie from the pit of hell. Atheists have explained that on this channel multiple times on how it happened. I just gave you a brief explanation. You had a singularity of a combination of matter and energy, and it created so much heat that it expanded over billions of years before it cooled down. I'm not a biologist. I'm not a chemist. I'm not an astronomist, and I know this. Stop lying and getting on here and saying
we do know that, but we do know that. I agree. We do know that. But you're asking what happened before that. That is what happened from the planet.
No. I'm not asking you what happened before that. I'm asking you about the actual event itself. If it's actual science, it must be observable, testable, and repeatable. I don't want to hear nothing about, I'm deeply religious and my faith tells me. You said it's science. If you want to talk about mocking and doing the burden of proof, you want to rule with the right person today, buddy. So let me tell you something here. You have a burden now you got to meet. Explain to me how that's science.
Right. Can I explain?
Or say the Big Bang is not science.
Everything in the science books is what happened like a millisecond, fraction of a millisecond after the Big Bang. We don't know. No one knows how the Big Bang happened or why
You
it
heard
happened.
that, ladies and gents? Hold on a minute, ladies and gents. Nobody know how the Big Bang happened. I'm not going to be able to screen share and show anything on anybody knowing how the Big Bang happened. So let's just get that number one. This man right here is saying that nobody knows how the Big Bang happened, even though I just explained that. And that's kind of embarrassing if I'm doing it. And he's supposed to know this. He's supposed to be the secular person. Come on. You got to unmute yourself.
No, sorry. You just explained what happened a fraction of a second after the Big Bang. You're asking what caused the Big Bang.
A fraction of a second. Okay. Yeah.
The plain time. We don't know what happened before.
Are you a scientist?
Are you a scientist? No, I'm far from a scientist.
I'm
not that bright, to be honest.
You have a Google like I do. You can look that up, right?
Yeah.
You can look it up and you can see whether or not what you're saying is actually true or not. Just like I can.
I know it is.
Because according to you, nobody knows what happened during the Big Bang. And that's not my real question. My question is it science, yes or no? And if it is, how do you know it's science?
I'm not saying no one knows what happened during the Big Bang. Or
how can you ask me, hold on. How can you ask me to prove my Bible and to prove that the events in the Bible actually happened? I muted you. How can you prove how can you ask me to prove that this is true and that the events happening here is true? And when we're talking about the topic of science right now, you can't even prove to me that the Big Bang is actual science. Or show me why it's actual science. You're sitting there telling me what happened in a fraction of a second. I ain't asked you all that. Is it science, yes or no?
Just one second.
Is Big Bang cosmology science, yes or no?
I've got it up on. The Big Bang is believed to have occurred when every speck of energy in the universe was jammed into a very tiny point, which when exploded with unimaginable force, creating matter and propelling it outward, form the billions of galaxies in our vast universe. The process involved the fusion of hydrogen in large clouds, igniting them for stars. As a result of this event, particles, atoms, stars, and galaxies were formed. But all that is what happened a fraction of a second after the Big Bang, after the singularity began to expand. No one knows what caused it to happen. That is what I'm trying to explain. No one knows what caused the Big Bang. We just know what happened a fraction of a second.
Okay, so no one knows what caused the Big Bang. I know that you said that and whatnot. Is it science, yes or no?
Yeah, it's science we don't know.
Okay. Prove it. How did it happen?
You
don't know. Nobody knows.
Right.
Repeating this.
If we don't know how many if we don't know how many planets are in the universe, does that mean that it's not science because we don't know it?
No, I'm just asking you a question because my point about the supernatural again, and you want to play scientific hopscotch instead of answering the question. You don't even know if Big Bang cosmology is actual science or not. Now, believe me, I'm in agreement with you. I believe that you atheists and you secular people have a religious belief that Big Bang is actual science because you ain't offering me no scientific explanation on why it's actual science. And I'm going to play a video that might offend you pretty soon regarding the topic of whether or not you actually have a religion regarding this or not soon. I'm just waiting for you to either just make a definitive claim that if Big Bang cosmology is science, and I'm going to say that again because I think it's funny every time I say it, Big Bang cosmology cosmology is science or not?
Let's go with it. Okay, I don't know whether it's science or not. I don't know whether we can ever find out what caused the Big Bang. It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter whether it's supernatural or natural. We just don't know at the moment. It doesn't affect me. I don't really care, to be honest. But at the moment, we don't know.
Okay, so Aaron Ra, Thunderfoot, what's that guy named? The black one. What's his name? Neil deGrasse Tyson. Neil deGrasse Tyson, and all your other scientific buddies seem to go into a lot of detail about how the bang actually happened. They call this science. You come in this room. I don't know what country you're from. You're saying that you can't tell if it's science or not or whatever, right? You're saying that that no one knows what caused the Big Bang or whatever, right? You're saying that because you want to avoid the idea of it actually being a supernatural event. If you don't have a now, do you believe in the law of cause and effect?
I've just told you I don't care whether it's a supernatural or not.
Do you believe in the law of cause and effect?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. What caused the Big Bang?
We don't know. I don't know. No one knows.
Okay. So I'm going to say this again, as I said about mutations proving that evolution is not true. And then I would say that Big Bang cosmology would prove that the Big Bang never happened as well, too. If you're going to sit there and say that you don't know what caused it, because it goes against the law of cause and effect. If you don't know what caused it, then it goes against science, my friend.
Are you saying that if we don't know what caused
wait a minute. How can I be so ignorant? I made a mistake. I made a very big mistake. Can you tell me when the law of cause and effect actually came into play?
Can I just ask one question, please? Are you saying that if we don't know what caused the Big Bang, then it didn't happen?
No, this is what I'm saying. I'm saying that you believe that the Big Bang is a natural event, that it can be explained scientifically. My claim is that you cannot explain the Big Bang. That's number one. And number two, I'm saying that it was a supernatural event. You claim that the Bible that the Bible makes claims that it can't prove. The Bible says that God created the heavens and the earth. The Big Bang, which you actually believe in, sir, and you can't say you don't, God was the one that caused it. It just happened a lot faster than you think it did. A lot faster.
That is what you're claiming. I'm asking you to demonstrate that. And I've never said the supernatural doesn't exist or the supernatural didn't exist. I'm saying we don't know. I don't know whether it's supernatural or not. That's all I've ever said. I've never said it was natural.
But I gave you an
argument. Bible's your argument was the Bible.
Wait a minute. I gave you an argument. And my argument is that if you can't, I already showed why the Big Bang can't be science. I already showed that you don't know nothing about the topic. Yet you like talking about stuff that you ain't very knowledgeable about. And then I mentioned that if you don't know where the cause came from, you don't know what happened after the bang, which is nonsense because Neil deGrasse Tyson will tell you about cosmic radiation and oh my Lord, Father God. So anyway, you are extremely ignorant about this. Okay, if there is a natural explanation for how the Big Bang happened.
I never said we didn't know what happened after the Big Bang.
Hold on a minute. You tell me what the logical problem or the scientific problem is with me saying that God caused the thing to happen. That an intelligent caused it, causing all of this radioactive background energy, which did all these other things that created the planets. And God determined how many planets was going to get, how many moons or whatever, and how far they was going to be away from the sun, and all this other good stuff and whatnot. Explain to me how Big Bang cosmology is science, yet you don't know nothing about it. And I mean nothing. You know squat about it.
All right, for the sake of argument, I'll agree with you that we don't know whether it's science or not. We don't know how it happened, and we don't know whether it's
yourself on this one because there's a lot of people that don't agree with you.
But given that, I'll grant you that for the sake of the argument. Now you are making the positive claim that God created the universe.
Oh, I believe that. Yeah,
I believe you have to demonstrate that.
I believe an intelligent designer did it. You want to know why? Because whenever I see life coming about, it always comes from an intelligence. I don't see it coming from a non-intelligent being. Like, for example, when you came to be, your parents made you.
But that's the difference between evolution and
a human being would have made you. So none of that happened by random chance. None of that happened because of some chemicals coming together and just like, then you came about or whatever. It doesn't work that way. And intelligence put you together. Okay. Yeah. That's why I actually believe that. I believe in an intelligent design.
I understand what you're saying. But that's the difference between
evolution. I have another argument too. My other argument.
Can I answer that one first, please?
Sure.
It's only if you ask me a question that I'm allowed to answer it, please.
Yes, you're right. Go ahead.
But all I'm saying is that's the difference between evolution and abiogenesis. Me coming from my parents is evolution. Abiogenesis is a completely separate field of science, and we don't know how abiogenesis happened. It's the same thing. We don't know. It could have been supernatural. It could have been natural. We don't know.
Is it science?
We don't know how it happened.
Is it science?
It could be science.
Yeah. It could be science.
It could be science. Yeah.
Wow.
I would have thought it is. But I'm going with your definition of supernatural being something that we can't explain at the moment.
Okay. Before you do that, I just want to let my audience know that abiogenesis could be science. We don't know if it's science. It could be science. Nobody knows anything about abiogenesis.
Only because I'm going with your definition of the supernatural. Your definition of the supernatural seems to be something we can't explain with science yet. So we can't explain abiogenesis yet. So by your definition of supernatural, it could be supernatural. That's
so the Big Bang is not science. I want to make sure I write this down here correctly. Big Bang, not science. Abiogenesis is not
never
science.
said that. Never said that.
I gotta make sure I get a clip of this one.
I never said that. I said it could be science or it could be science. It could be science.
It's not.
It could be natural or it could be supernatural.
I think.
I don't know.
Talking about a topic that
the answer to all these questions have been I don't know. You can't say I said.
Yeah, abiogenesis is not science. That's what you just said. Okay, so if abiogenesis is not science, then explain to me. And mind you, I don't believe it's science either.
I never said it
wasn't
wasn't
on the same page here. I don't believe it's science either. I don't believe that.
I never said it wasn't science.
I don't believe that.
G-Man, you keep accusing me of not listening.
Sir. Hold on a minute. I'm gonna bring you back in, okay? You keep saying you don't know, and you don't know, and then you say you do know, and we do know. It's either you know or you don't know. You're playing word games. It's either you know that abiogenesis is science or it's not science. I agree with you that it's not science. That's the part where me and you are going to get along great. I don't believe Big Bang cosmology is science. I believe it's horse manure. I also believe that the abiogenesis is horse manure. Me and you are on the same page, except I'm a Christian and you're confused. But anyway, go ahead.
No, what I'm saying is that if you don't know something, the legitimate answer, the only legitimate answer is I don't know. I'm not saying it is natural. I'm not saying it's supernatural. I'm not saying it is science. I'm not saying it's not science. I'm saying
that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
I don't know how abiogenesis happened. I don't know how the Big Bang happened. I genuinely don't know. So the only honest answer I can give is I don't know. I can't claim that it's natural. I can't.
You're right. You're totally right. You don't know. Yeah. You don't know if abiogenesis is science. It could be. It couldn't be. You don't know if a Big Bang cosmology is science. It could be. It couldn't be. Why are you in the room with me talking about science and you don't know nothing about it? Because it could be. It could be.
Okay, that's fine. But you're claiming that you do know that it's definitely supernatural and it's definitely God. I'm asking you to demonstrate that.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that that what you was arguing with True regarding Big Bang cosmology, the way that I go about talking about it on here is not true. Neither is abiogenesis. Abiogenesis is one of the biggest jokes in the scientific community going on today. Life does not come from non-life, but that's what they believe religiously. You have a faith that this stuff is true. If somebody puts on a white coat and gets in front of the room and tells you that this stuff is true, you guys believe it with no proof whatsoever.
And I just point out the difference. I am saying I don't know. You are making the positive claim that it can't possibly ever happen naturally.
It ain't true.
They're saying it must have happened supernaturally. I'm saying I don't know.
Okay, so how do you know that God is not real? Let's get a good one.
You're making the positive claim that it was definitely supernatural.
Let's get a good one here.
I'm asking you to demonstrate that.
Me and you agree that the Big Bang is not true. We both agree that abiogenesis is not true.
I never said anything
close. Because as an atheist,
I never said anything close. Big Bang definitely happened. We just don't know.
Let's talk about God real quick.
Why?
Let's talk about God real quick, because you say that, that there's no proof that God exists, right? That's what you like. All you atheists like to argue that there's no such thing as God. You are on the right channel to come out of that nonsense as well, too. Not only does
with that
Big Bang cosmology lie, and you got out of the abiogenesis lie, I want to get you to finally admit that the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob actually exists. And you know how I'm going to do it?
Yeah.
By proving that without him, you can't make sense out of your worldview.
Oh, cool.
Oh, actually, I do a little bit different. I don't just precept. I use evidentialism with it. Okay, I think I kind of use it properly, because when you just use presuppositional apologetics and that alone, and that's all you use, it can become very frustrating talking about it.
Just
on the evidentialism in it, it could be a pain in the butt to deal with.
Just on a technical point, you can't use presup and evidentialism together. Presup is presupposing that God exists without any evidence. You can't use evidentialism and presup at the same time.
Yes, I can.
It's literally impossible.
Yes, I can. Yes, I can. And let's start off with your worldview. You can't make sense of your worldview without God.
Okay. Why?
Particularly morality. You can't prove, you can't make sense out of your moral worldview without God.
Go on,
we had this conversation briefly yesterday. You can't do it.
No, why can I not do it?
Okay. So in order for you to believe that something is right or wrong, you need an absolute moral lawgiver.
No, I don't.
Now, mind you, let me define what I mean by God here, just so that we can be on the same page here.
No, I know.
I'm talking about the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I'm talking about anything or anyone or any belief system that involves a God. Because in order for you, my friend, to be an atheist, you have to deny all of them, not just one of them, all of them. And that's where the conversation is going to be over pretty quick.
Technically, I have to not believe in it. I don't have to deny. I don't have to say they don't exist. I have to not be convinced that they exist. Just on a technical point.
Oh, not convinced. Oh,
not convinced.
I can get on here and say I'm not convinced. I'm holding a box in my hand. That doesn't mean I'm not holding a box.
You will be lying.
We're not talking about whether or not you're convinced.
I'm telling the truth.
No. We're not talking about whether or not you're convinced. That Dillahunty nonsense doesn't work on this channel. Okay, we're talking about whether or not there's evidence to suggest that God actually exists. And just let me speak here for a minute. One of the things that you atheists do, and quite dishonestly as well too, is that you guys you guys confuse when a person is providing evidence for you for the existence of God, as opposed to trying to convince you. Convince you, I'm not going to do. I don't want to. What I want to do is actually provide evidence for it, and then have you try to show me how I'm not providing evidence, because I can do that all day, every day.
Yeah, can you just clarify? The thing is, it has to be sufficient evidence. You can provide some evidence and me still not be convinced. It has to be
definition of evidence.
Sufficient evidence.
Definition of evidence.
Something that provides. Oh no, I can't use evidence. Something that points towards a conclusion.
What kind of evidence do you want? What kind of evidence do you need to convince you that God exists? I'm going to show you this how dishonest.
Anything you got, any kind you've got, anything. So your best evidence. What's your best evidence that God exists?
No, the presuppositional argument. That's my best argument.
So your best evidence is to presuppose. So your best evidence for God existing is to presuppose that God exists before any evidence.
Wait a minute. You said I can use anything.
That's your best evidence.
Wait. You said I can use anything. So that includes.
Yeah, you can. Yeah. I'm just saying it's a terrible argument. You can use it.
Wait a minute. No, I haven't made an argument for it to be terrible yet. You're a denialist, and I already know it. So that means if I can use anything, I can use arguments for paganism. I can use arguments for deism. I can use arguments for, let's say, hero worship. You believing that you're a god or anything like that. If I can use anything, then I can do that. Then so allow me to do that. Levian Satanists, do they consider themselves to be gods and goddesses? Yes or no, according to the Satanic Bible?
Clarifying, I know there's two kinds of Satanism.
Levian Satanists.
Which ones are? Is that the ones that believe that Satan actually exists, or the
kind of? You're trying to argue like Matt Dillahunty. You're not doing a good job.
That's a genuine question. I know there are two kinds, but I can never remember which one is which.
Levian Satanists claims that they're gods and goddesses.
They actually believe Satan exists.
How do you explain? Oh, and by the way, they're atheists too. How do you
I'm just asking the question. I can't answer it until you answer it. Are LaVeyan Satanists the ones that actually believe a real Satan exists?
Anton LaVey.
Yeah,
I'm not talking about.
I'm not sure.
I'm not talking about people outside of the LaVeyan Satanic Church. We'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
the
I need to
people
know
are
which
in the
one
LaVeyan Church of Satan.
Yeah.
Think that they are their own gods and goddesses. What do you have to say about that?
What I need to know is, do they believe an actual being called Satan exists? And then
They
I can
believe that they are God. New Agers believe that they are God. How do you know that they're lying? I can't wait for him to say this, but go ahead.
Then it will come down to like my definition of gods. You
don't know what a god is.
My definition of God is a supernatural being who created the universe. So if humans are claiming to be gods, then I wouldn't agree that they're gods. No.
Okay, so if LaVeyan Satanists call themselves a god or a goddess, why are they right or wrong?
Because that doesn't line up with my definition of a god.
Oh, your definition. So God is subjective. It is not objective then.
Ask a Muslim what God is. Ask a Buddhist what God is. Ask a Taoist what God is. The definition of God is very subjective. It is.
I'm not talking about a Muslim. I'm talking about you, because you're making it easier for me now. So now you're telling me. So now you're telling me that the definition for God is according to your definition.
Yeah, it's my definition.
I thought we were talking about this one. We can't go by your definition if we're going by this one. Make your mind up. Which one do you want?
So you're saying that LaVeyan Satanists think they are gods, and you're saying that God is defined as the God of the Bible. Then they are definitely not gods.
No,
they are definitely not gods because they're not the God of the Bible.
Church of Satan. No, when I'm talking about when I'm talking about the LaVeyan Church of Satan, I'm talking about something totally different. I'm talking about the God of the Bible. I'm talking about how the God of the Bible is defined, not how you think it should be defined. You don't even know how to have this discussion.
I know how the God of the Bible is defined. Yeah, I'm saying humans cannot be gods. Given my definition of God, humans cannot be gods.
Well, your definition of gods. Yeah, then you're not an atheist. How can you be an atheist and everything is going by your definition?
Right, a unicorn is a horse with one horn. Doesn't mean I believe in unicorns.
Hold on a minute. If somebody tells you that the universe is God, and you say, well, that doesn't go according to my definition. Sir, you're talking to a person that is telling you that, not me, I'm talking about in this fictional example, that a person is worshiping the universe. It isn't your definition. You are supposed to find out what their definition is, and then you're supposed to play the denial game. You're not even doing it right.
To be fair, I partly agree with you. Yeah. I will disagree with the definition. I would question the definition. If someone wants to call this lighter the God, I can't argue with that. The God exists.
Okay,
God
so what's the definition of God?
I would just disagree.
God that you deny, God that you deny, what's the definition of it?
The God I deny. What do you mean?
The God that you deny, what is the definition of it?
I deny. If someone calls a lie to a God, I deny. I agree that God exists, but I disagree with the definition of God that they're using. I have my own definition of God.
I'm asking you a question. My question is this, okay? You say you don't believe in a God. What definition are you using to say that you don't believe in that God?
My definition of God.
And what is it?
It's basically a supernatural being that created the universe. Basically.
Okay, let me write that down. Hold on a minute, because I want to make sure that you don't change your mind about this. A supernatural being that created the universe. You're not an atheist.
No, that's my
Abrahamic faith.
I didn't say I believe that God exists. That is my definition. I can have a definition of something and not believe it exists. I have a definition of a unicorn. It doesn't mean I believe unicorns exist.
Okay. Sir, let me explain this to you, and you're gonna have to be quiet here for a minute for me to explain to you what you just did to yourself. Okay. So this ain't my first time asking people this question here. All right. You just said, okay, you're an atheist. This is what you believe you are. You say you're an atheist and you don't believe that God exists. I asked you what the definition of God was. And this is what you said: a supernatural being that created the universe. Sir, are you aware that Judaism, Christianity, and Islam believe in a supernatural being that created the universe? You do understand that leaves out the rest of the religions of the world. So how are you an atheist? You don't deny the existence of the other ones.
Can I unmute? It's because I don't believe that a supernatural being created the universe. For me not to be an atheist, I would have to agree with my definition of God and that it exists, it's supernatural, and it created the universe. My definition of God is a supernatural being that created the universe. I don't believe that being exists. Therefore, I am an atheist. I don't believe that God exists. I don't believe my definition of God exists. I am an atheist. That's what an atheist is.
Okay, sir, I'm going to explain this to you again. All right, just so that you can understand what you did to yourself.
I know what you're saying. Other people believe that God exists. I don't.
Sir, we all got that. And I'm going to show you why you're not an atheist again. Okay. And then I'm going to go to the ones that don't fit this definition, because this is what's right over your head. Okay. You said as an atheist, you do not believe in a supernatural being. And I wrote it down here actually. Okay. That created the universe. That is not an atheist. A means to be without. Theism is the belief in a God or God. It means to be without theism. All you're saying is that you don't believe in supernatural beings. That does not mean that you deny the existence of gods.
I understand what you're saying now.
Do you understand that?
Yeah, right. So basically, I don't believe that God exists. And anyone who has a different definition of God that doesn't line up with mine, I would disagree with their definition of God. I either don't believe that God exists, which is my definition, or if anyone else has a different definition.
So you don't got a problem with paganism. You don't got a problem with paganism. You don't got a problem with paganism because pagans actually believe in gods they can actually see. You're sitting on one right now. They worship the planet. If you go to India, they worship the little disgusting lakes that they got in oceans or whatever. If you go to India, they worship the cow. You can see a cow, can't you? And they treat them as if they're deities.
That's what I said.
We call them. I'm not done. I want to finish without you saying anything. Too much confusion. You believe in naturalistic gods.
No. If anyone believes a cow is a god, I disagree with their definition of God.
No. The definition of God that you actually gave was a supernatural being that created the universe.
Yes, so if someone calls a cow a god, I disagree with their definition.
You believe in paganism.
No.
Let me show you what my Bible says. This is very true about you, by the way. Let me show you what my Bible says. There's a reason why I have that on the bottom of my screen. I want to show you something that the Bible says. And I read this a lot. It's one of my favorite passages in scriptures to deal with people online who say that they're
Can I just get 2 sentences out, please, just before I forget?
No, because I'm not done and you're trying to talk and I'm not done. That's what it is. Romans chapter 1. I want to show you something here. Okay, when I'm done, I'll let you talk. I promise. I'll mute my microphone or remove myself from the room. Romans chapter 1, and this is what it says. Romans chapter 1, starting at verse 18. And this is talking about you in this particular case. For the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men who hold the truth in unrighteousness. Because that which may be known of God is manifest in them, for God has showed it unto them. For the invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even his eternal power and Godhead, so that they are without excuse. Because that when they knew God, they glorified him not as God, and neither were they thankful, but became vain in their imaginations, and their foolish hearts were darkened. Professing themselves to be wise, they became fools, and changed the glory of the uncorruptible God into an image made like corruptible man, and to birds and four-footed beasts and creeping things. Okay. Now, the reason, the purpose of me reading that is to show you that when you exchange the truth about God for a lie, You started worshiping and serving the creation instead of the creator. You're saying out of your mouth, and I'm just doing this for the sake of conversation, that you don't believe in a supernatural God, but you don't seem to have a problem with gods that you can actually see. You forget Christianity is one belief system on this planet. Islam, one belief system. Judaism, one belief system. Now, when you got to deal with panentheism, paganism, and you got to deal with deism, and you got to start dealing with the New Age movement, where they say that you got the third eye and people are gods, and they're trying to prove this scientifically in your textbooks that you got a third eye and all this other stuff and whatnot. You don't deny that. You spend all of your time and your energy trying to debunk the supernatural, while ignoring the fact that there are other people out there claiming to be gods, and you can see them with your plain eyes. That my first point that I want to make in this discussion of whether or not God exists is that you are not an atheist, not according to this definition. You must deny gods across the board, and this definition doesn't do it. If you are an atheist, what is your definition? What is your definition of a God for you to say that none of them exist?
Right, I can solve this. Like I said, I have my definition of God. I don't think that God exists. If anyone else has a different definition of a God, I disagree with their definition of God. So I don't think their gods exist either, because I wouldn't call them gods. That rules out all gods. I don't believe in any gods. I either disagree that it exists, or I disagree with the definition of God that other people are using. That rules out, for me, all gods. I am an atheist.
You're not an atheist, and that's an argument from ignorance. You're sitting there saying that first you told everybody that this is the God I don't believe in, the supernatural being that created the universe. That immediately excludes everything else. Now you want to say, not only do I not the supernatural being that created the universe, you're saying that I don't believe in people who claim to be gods. Now, why do you now watch this, ladies and gents? I'm going to show you how seriously uneducated these people are and whatnot, right? If you don't believe a human being, now mind you, I'm a Christian. I got a totally different argument for this or whatever, right? Totally different than yours. And it's a heck of a lot more condensed than you just sitting there saying you don't believe. If a Levian Satanist came in this room and told you that they are their own god or goddess, and you say that you don't believe, and mind you, they're atheists saying this, that's what's hilarious about it, right? And you say that they're not a god, what's your argument for it? Why don't you believe that person's a god?
Because I don't agree with their definition of God. I think they're using the word God wrong, which will make them to me not a god. If someone says my finger is God, I will say I disagree with your definition of God. I don't think that my finger is a god. That rules out my finger being a god to me. It's subjective. It is subjective. All definitions are subjective.
So for the children that are watching this and the people on here who don't know what we're talking about, I'm going to dumb this down so even your children can understand this. All right. When we're talking about God, we're talking about someone who is an absolute supreme authority. And someone who has the final decision in your life.
That's one.
Okay. Wait a minute. Tell me how those characteristics do not fit the God of the Bible, real quick. Before you try to sit there and say, I'm trying to change the definition or whatever, tell me how those characteristics do not fit the God of the Bible.
I never said they didn't. I said that's your definition, and my definition of God is
good. So when you got a human being like a Levian Satanist, and I know this because I have the Satanic Bible, okay, and I've read it, and I've actually talked about it. I have debated these people on my channel. They have been on here before. As a matter of fact, for the people that are watching that have never seen those, if you want, I'll re-upload them and let you all see them again if you can't find them on my channel, because they might be on private. I don't know. But the point is that when they say that they're their own gods or goddesses, they're saying that they're their own final decision maker, okay? And they're the ultimate supreme ruler of their own life. Now, before you try to sit there and say, well, that's not what a God is, let's go to the Bible here real quick, right?
Can I do one thing really quick, please? Please, can I do one thing really quick?
No, wait a minute. Before you do that, go to the book of Psalms, and then we look at God saying that, talking to the judges of Israel and saying that I say that ye are gods, but you will die, but ye will die like men. All right. So don't give me this stuff that in order to be a god, one has to be supernatural. If you believe that, you don't know history very well. You don't know how the Egyptians worshipped. You don't know that they worship Cleopatra, for crying out loud, and King Tut and all of the Egyptian kings. How they worship. No. I gave you an opportunity. The Roman emperors, the Egyptian kings, how they worship human beings all throughout history, and now all of a sudden they have to be supernatural. Like, really?
Right, if I can try something. If I walk up to you with this cup and said, this cup is a spoon, would you agree that this cup is a spoon?
No, because I would be able to tell you what a spoon
is. Because
is.
you would disagree with my definition of spoon, wouldn't you? No. It's exactly the same.
No.
When
I as a Christian go to a person who is a 5%er who say that they're a god, I don't argue like you. I don't go up there and say I disagree with your definition. I would actually meet them where they are. Oh, so you're a god, huh?
So this is a spoon then. I define this as a spoon. Do you agree that this is a spoon?
No.
Why not? It's exactly the same argument.
Because this is a spoon.
Yeah, I disagree. I think this is a spoon.
So before you interrupt me, that is not how Christians argue against people. Because mind you, atheists are not the only people we go out there and we talk to, whether you know this or not. You guys are not that special. We talk to other people out there too. Okay, so when somebody comes to us and claims that they're their own deity or claim that they're a god, okay, we meet them there and we talk about their pride. We talk about how they're going to die like everybody else. And we talk about those things. And then we try to point to Jesus Christ afterward, the true God man, the one who took off the one who came down from heaven, put on human flesh and dwelt among us. I can talk about that all day long. But I'm not going to sit there and say, well, I disagree with your definition, because I understand that there are many different definitions for gods. If you believe that the only definition for God out there is a supernatural being that created the universe, you are not very educated when it comes to talking about deities at all. You don't know about it in the fictional, and you don't know about it in the reality. You just don't. Let me talk about the fictional here just to prove it to you. Most people who write DC Comics and write Marvel, guess what they are? Take a guess. They're not Christians. No. They ain't Muslims. They ain't Catholics. Guess what they are? They're either pagans or they're atheists. And guess who they're calling deities?
Well, people who draw
Superman. You can very much see him, right? Wonder Woman. You can see her. They call her the goddess of the Amazons or whatever. All of this. Hold on a minute. You guys want to forget that and then say, well, the definition of God is supernatural. Stop it. Stop it.
Right, so you said you go up to people and you meet them where they're at. So each individual person you're talking to, I presume you go up to them and say, what is your definition of God?
I don't do that.
Well, you should. That's what you should do.
I don't have to do it. I don't have to do it.
So you will go up to a Muslim and say, what would you ask them what their definition of God is?
Because I know what Muslims believe.
Would you give them the
I know what Muslims believe. I know what Muslims believe. Do you understand the words coming out of my mouth?
So then you go up to a Buddhist. Would you change your definition of God to suit their definition of God or to suit your own definition?
No, I would not. I don't have to change the definition of God for a Buddhist. I don't have to do that. So you are speaking from 100%. Wildheart, I'm not trying to be disrespectful on Wildheart, but you're speaking from ignorance. You're trying to repeat things that you heard Matt Dillahunty say while just completely butchering how he goes about arguing. If you want, I can play a clip of the atheist experience and you can watch how we actually do it. But you're not doing a very good job of copying him. I have somebody else that want to come in. Give me a second here. How are you doing, Jane? Just give me 1 second, and then I'll let you speak. But Wildheart, you got to understand something here. There is more than one definition for God. In order, oh, brother. Let me see how much of that showed on YouTube.
I've had that done before. It's normally meant to be.
Every time you guys get in trouble, they want to porn bomb us. I don't know if anybody actually saw that. If there's any Christians that are actually watching you.
I
If there's
wasn't
any
really watching
Christians
it.
that are watching this, you can tell me whether or not that was actually seen or not.
It looked like just a bit of thigh or something, but I wasn't really watching, so I can't tell you.
Give me a second here so I can see what the heck was seen. Okay, so nobody saw anything. All right. I'll take care. I'll edit that out later. Thank God. I'll edit it out later. So they came in my room and they porn bombed because they didn't like the fact that they look stupid on here. All I'm going to do is download this and edit this and put this back up again. That's all I'm going to do. But the point is this. You believe that there's only one definition, for God, and I'm telling you right now, there are multiple definitions for it. If you want to believe that there's only one definition, it shows how ignorant atheists really are on social media and in life regarding this topic. It's just true.
Can I try and explain it a different way?
Yeah.
I agree that there are millions of different definitions of God. Almost everyone has a different definition of God. I'm saying for me to believe a God exists, the God that has to exist is the God that lines up with my definition of God. Just because someone else...
That's not atheism.
It is. Because I don't believe in a God.
No. That's not atheism, sir.
I don't believe
God that you don't want to exist. Your claim is that there's no evidence for God existing, or a God existing, or any gods existing.
My definition of God.
That is not atheism. You're against the Abrahamic faith. That's what you're against.
My definition of God existing.
Yeah, if you want to say that, sir. But
because anything else.
To prove to you that a God exists, all I gotta do is look at the living Satanists. That's all I gotta do. And you can sit there and say that they're not God, so you're blue in the face. But the point of the matter is, they live their life and they go through life believing that's what they are. And they're atheists claiming that they're their own gods. Then there is the New Age movement, where you got people like Shirley MacLaine, or people like Shirley MacLaine, maybe not her today, where they're going out there saying, I am God, because they have a philosophical definition of what a God is. Then you have deists who actually believe in a non-personal God who was responsible for creating the universe and left it to itself, and believe in all that evolutionary and all that stuff and whatnot. You are insanely ignorant when it comes to what people actually believe concerning God.
No,
What
I agree.
is that you don't believe in Jesus. You don't believe in the God of the Bible, and that's where you want to keep it. Don't call yourself an atheist. Call yourself, just say you're not a Christian. It's not an atheist, sir.
No, I agree. People have different definitions of gods.
I think
if they agree,
you're definitely against religion.
Can I just finish a point?
Mm-hmm.
I agree. People have different definitions of gods. If they believe that their definition of God exists, that makes them a theist. I have a definition of God. I don't believe that definition of a God exists.
You believe that you're your own
God. That makes me an atheist.
You believe that you're your own God.
No, I don't.
Who makes the final decisions in your life?
How does that mean?
Your life.
Don't forget, my definition of God is a supernatural being who created the universe.
Final decisions in your life.
I do. I am not supernatural, and I didn't create the universe. I am not God.
Who is the person in your life that decides what is good and what is evil?
Kind of me and society.
Yeah, that was a quick, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You spent all that time trying to argue that God didn't exist, and then I showed you that you was one yourself. Not to mention, with the God of the Bible, you can't make sense out of your worldview without him, because you believe everything is subjective, and it's not, my friend. Everything is objective, not subjective.
Please, can I say 2 sentences?
Sure, go ahead.
My definition of God is a supernatural being that created the universe.
There's no subjective definition of God.
Sorry, can I finish? You saying that I make my own decisions and I create my own morality doesn't make me supernatural.
Hold on a minute. Zeus could have created the universe. That doesn't narrow it down to the other religions and everything and whatnot, my friend. That doesn't make any sense. And all you're doing is creating confusion. You don't even know what the definition of a God is. What I would implore you to do, sir, is this. I would implore you to go pick up a dictionary and go look at what people actually believe, and then say, these are the things I don't believe, and this is why. And not try to regurgitate what you heard your favorite atheist say on the Atheist Experience or on their podcast or their show. That's what I would recommend you do. Because you keep saying it's about my definition. If we're talking about your definition, then you can't deny the God that I believe in. You can't, because you don't even know how to define him. You don't even know how to define them because everything is going by what you believe. Dude, the world is much bigger than you. I promise you that. It's much bigger than you. And if you go to college or if you get any type of a higher form of education, or if you pick up a regular book, you'll start learning that people have different belief systems and they believe differently, right? In terms of like how they see God, how they see the universe, how they see things and whatnot. And in order for you to say, well, I don't believe in what I don't believe that your deity exists or whatever, and you can't even define what it is, you're speaking on a matter before you actually hear it. That's dumb. You don't do stuff.
Let me try, and this is a genuine experiment. Right, I genuinely believe that this lighter is a god. This lighter is my god. Do you believe that my god exists? Would you agree that my god exists?
Here's the thing. I believe that it is a demon if you're calling it that. So do you know what an idol is?
So I actually know.
Sir, do you know what an idol is?
Yes.
What is an idol?
An idol is something, I don't go as far as worship, but something you look up to, something you revere, something you put in high regard.
Do you know who Stephen A. Smith is?
I don't know.
Do you watch ESPN?
No.
So you don't know nothing about the NBA in America, right?
No.
We have this sport analyst. Here in the United States. He's on something called ESPN. It's a news show that talks about sports. And he referred to one of the point guards in the NBA as the point god.
Yeah.
And he was talking about Chris Paul. Kevin Durant is a popular basketball player, and he refers to himself as a god. LeBron James thinks he's a god because of his many followers and everything and whatnot, right? Now, in order for you to sit there and say that this person is, they're not saying they're supernatural. Yeah. That's your problem. They're not saying that they're supernatural.
That's right.
But they are saying that people revere them and worship them, although, and I strongly disagree with any of that. You know, I mean, I don't believe that nobody should be worshiping them, but they believe that people admire them so much that they're worthy of worship because they're so good at basketball or whatever. Not everybody's working with this definition. This is why you're not an atheist. The true definition for atheism is to be without theism.
Can I have 2 minutes? So you've just criticized me for not agreeing with other people when they define gods and say that their gods exist. You're criticizing me for not agreeing that their gods exist. I've just said I believe this is a god. Do you agree that my god exists? And you said no. You're doing exactly the same as I.
That's not what I said. I said that I said I would think that it's a demon. Because if you believe that that lighter was a god, that means you will worship it and you will revere it. These are words that you don't know nothing about. Because if you understood what worship was, you would understand that you do that with a lot of your popular atheist leaders, in which you try to regurgitate the same things that they're saying in their show, but you're doing a bad job at right now. You're doing a bad job at trying to regurgitate.
I just said that I believe this is a god, and you said it's not a god, it's a demon. You're doing exactly the same as I am.
You just got finished saying that you are your own final authority and you're the final person who decides what is right and wrong. You look at anything that's ever called itself a god or a deity, and all of them fit that definition, even you. Okay? I don't make that claim. I submit to someone who is the final authority. I'm not done. I submit to someone who is the final who has the final say on right and wrong. You're going to sit here and you're going to say, well, I can do that with a lighter. That doesn't disprove my point. That proves it for me. That doesn't disprove my point. That actually proves it for me. You saying that this is a god and you worship it and that this is your god or whatever. Okay, fine. You're proving theism to be true. You wouldn't be the first person to say something like that.
So you agree that the lighter is a god? So you agree that lighter is a god?
No, I didn't say that. I said that the hypothetical example that you're using when you're saying that is a god, kind of like you do with the flying spaghetti monster, right? When you try to sit there and say something like that is a god, you're proving theism. You're not disproving it. You think you're disproving it by mocking it, and you're not.
But I'm not proving.
You're making a fool out of yourself.
I'm not proving theism to you because you disagree that it's a god. So you don't agree that God exists. You don't.
You ain't hear nothing I just said. You hear nothing I just said. Ladies and gentlemen, this is why you see that thing on the bottom of the screen where it says that the fool has said in his heart that there is no God. They have done abominable works. That's the reason why you guys are reading that on the bottom over and over and over and over again, because this is what it's like talking to some of them. Okay? I just got finished telling this guy that I said, well, you're using a hypothetical example there by saying that this lighter is a god. All that's doing is proving theism. What I think about it is irrelevant. The point is he's making an example of theism. He's not disproving the point that I just made. This guy is doing the epitome of being all over the place. He doesn't know how to argue. So what I'm saying to you, sir, is do you have an argument for atheism? Because saying that this is a god is not an argument for atheism.
There are no arguments for atheism. All atheism is that I am not convinced a God exists.
No. That's not what atheism is, sir.
You can't possibly have an argument for that. I'm just not convinced.
No. First of all, that's not atheism. If you want me to be 100% real with you, dude, atheism is an anti-Protestant Reformation movement designed to try to destroy the church. That's all it is at the end of the day. For crying out loud, you got Roman Catholics teaching you how to be an atheist. Okay? Stop it. Okay? I'm aware of the Hegelian dialectic, and I am very much aware of where atheism came from and how long it's been dead. You ain't talking to somebody that's been doing this like for a couple of days or whatever. I've been around for a while. All right? I made my name dealing with atheists here on YouTube. Okay? You're part of the anti-Protestant Reformation movement. That is what you're part of. You're part of the anti-Protestant Reformation movement. You keep saying atheism is this, this, and this, and your own definition goes against what you are claiming. Like, you need to think about that. You're an atheist because of pure ignorance. It's not based on knowledge. It ain't based on logic and reason, that's for sure. Because if you was using logic and reason, sir, if you was actually using an actual education, like you guys like to brag about on here so much, then you would know that when you said, I don't believe in a supernatural being that created the universe. So that means all the other ones are okay then. Tell me something, just to prove it. Why is paganism wrong?
What do you mean by wrong?
How do you know if the pagan guys are wrong?
Do you mean not true or immoral?
Earth.
No, I'm saying, do you mean it's wrong in that it's not true, or it's wrong in that it's immoral?
Explain to me from a secular perspective. Oh, this is going to be gold because you want to talk about.
I'm not trying to be difficult
for you, but explain to me from a secular perspective how a pagan is wrong when they say that the sun is God. From an atheist perspective. Yeah.
Right, from my perspective, a pagan is wrong when they say the sun is God, because I disagree with their definition of God.
Okay, so do me a favor. Go get your dictionary real quick and show me the definitions for pagan gods. Oh, and by the way, that would also have to do with deism as well, too. Please show me that.
Oh, just before we do, do you mind if we talk about something other than religion? I think that might clear some things up.
No. You just want to jump around and you don't want to actually be held accountable for anything. The point is, the reason why he doesn't want to do it is because he knows that when he looks into, well, if he actually did some reading, he would know that the reason why pagans worship sometimes the Nile River or they'll worship the ocean. And mind you, I'm not saying it's right. I believe that is idolatry. And I believe these people are going to be thrown alive into the lake of fire right along with this guy if they don't repent. The reason why they worship them is because they believe that all of their resources come from those things. You understand what I'm saying? But when you deal with these high school dropouts that call themselves atheists on here, that claim that they're educated, and I didn't want to have to do this. I really didn't want to do this, but I'm going to have to do this because this is what they act like on here. Where's my yellow bus at? Where's my yellow bus? Here we go. This is what they act like, ladies and gents. This is what they act like they're riding on a yellow bus. And serious.
I don't have a problem with that.
You're acting like you're in special ed because here's the thing. You're sitting there saying that you deny this one, but then you're trying to put this definition on what everybody else believes. That's stupid.
And I don't have a problem with that. I finished school at 14. I have next to no education. I'm not clever. I'm not smart. I never claim to be. But if we can get...
If you're not smart and you don't claim to be, then don't you think that it would be at least a little wise to hear what the definition of a particular belief system is before you sit there and say, I don't believe in it? That's like somebody coming to me and say they believe coffee tastes, and then before they can finish anything, I don't believe in coffee. Coffee ain't real. Like, how stupid can you be by saying something like that? You have to let them finish saying what they're saying, then respond.
Right. So if one person comes up to me and they define God as a supernatural being that created the universe, a second person comes up to me and they define God as a natural being, a human themselves, let's say. Do I believe that both gods exist? Do I believe that the supernatural God and the natural God exists? Someone defines a river as a god. Do I believe that that river is a god? Someone defines a ladder as a god.
What I'm saying is
define them all as gods, or none of them as gods.
If you're saying that you're an atheist and that you don't believe that a god or a gods exist, you should probably know the definition of them and why you don't believe in it. Don't give me this definition and then try to put this definition on all the other belief systems that are out there, because not everybody believes this. That's the problem. You guys hear a couple of atheist speakers speak, and then you identify with what they're saying, and then you believe that's you. If you want to say that you're not a Christian, that's one thing. If you want to say you don't believe in Abrahamic faiths, that's one thing. But when you start sitting there, and like I said, if I invited a Levian Satanist in here, if I invited a Buddhist in here, or if I invited a Hindu in here, or if I invited one of them in here, and they told you what they actually believe and what they're trying to accomplish and what they're trying to do, or if I brought a New Ager in here, then you hit them with this definition, I'm like, well, where did you get this from? It's like I can see you going to a college or a university and telling a professor who specializes in this topic of theism about what a god is, idols that people worship, hero worship, and all that. And then I can see a person like you on your paper saying all gods are supernatural and are responsible for creating the universe, and then get mad why you got an F on your report.
Right. If I can try something, right, we can agree that there are probably millions of different definitions of gods throughout all the people on the planet.
No,
right?
We can't agree on that.
So let's say thousands. Can we agree on that?
Can't agree on that either.
Right. How many would you say?
I wouldn't even say that there's more than 10. I wouldn't even say that there's more than 10.
10?
No, I wouldn't say that there's more than 10. There's only a few definitions for it.
Have you heard of the Greek pantheon? There's more than 10.
I'm a Christian. I read and studied my Bible. I used to be a Muslim. I'm sorry. I used to be a Muslim, but I grew up in a Muslim household. Trust me, I know more about this topic than you think I do.
Have you heard of Romans? They had thousands of gods. Just the Romans on their own had thousands of gods. Gods for everything.
Oh my God. No, they don't have millions of definitions. They have one definition. They have one definition.
They had thousands of different gods.
They
all had a different definition
for what a god is, at least what they think they're going to be when they populate their own planet.
They had gods for the local spring. They had gods for the local forest. They all had different definitions. One was a god of a forest. One was a god of a spring.
Let me ask you a question. Let me approach you like this. Why do you think the people worshipped a person like, let's say, Cleopatra?
Cleopatra was the Egyptian queen, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Why did they worship her?
Yeah. Because they did think that the pharaohs were gods, or the queens, whatever, the royalty.
They believed that she was a descendant of the gods.
Right, fair enough. Yeah.
Okay, so why did they worship her? Because they believed that she was a descendant of the gods, right? That is very different. Hold on a minute. That is very different from what Christians believe, from what Muslims believe, from what New Agers believe, from what Hindus believe, from what 5%ers believe. They don't believe the same thing.
Right,
They don't
I
know the definition that they're working with. And
I
Cleopatra
might be able to solve this.
that you can touch, procreate with.
Yeah, I might be able to solve this. When I say
solve, I'm trying to get you to understand these things.
If I can just a couple of sentences. Right, when someone comes up to me and say I believe in Zeus, I say I don't believe that Zeus is a god. I'm not telling them not to believe Zeus is a god. I'm saying I don't believe that Zeus is a god, so I don't believe in a god. I'm not telling them that their god doesn't exist. They can believe in what they want. Zeus, if they want to believe that Zeus exists, that's fine. I don't mind. I'm saying I don't believe it's a god, so I don't believe in any gods. I'm not telling other people what to believe. I'm just saying I disagree when they define gods. Otherwise, I would have to believe in like thousands of different gods. If I agreed with everyone's definition of a god, I would have to agree that like hundreds of thousands of gods exist. And that would just be impossible because some of them would be mutually.
I'm not saying that you have to agree that their gods that their gods exist or anything like that. What I'm saying is that you said as an atheist that your definition is that is that you don't believe in a supernatural being that created the universe. That's what you said. Anybody who's ever picked up a comic book, watched Cartoon Network, knows anything about DC or Marvel, knows anything about these pagan heroes like Thor and like Zeus and Hercules and all those other people, they all know that different belief systems have different beliefs about what a god is.
Right.
And not everybody is claiming a god as a supernatural person who created the universe. I'm telling you, based on this definition, you cannot be an atheist. In order to be an atheist, you have to be without theism.
I get what you said. No, I get
theism, and you're not without theism.
Sorry, can you just let me get a? I get what you're saying.
You definitely believe in self.
I'm saying I have my definition of God. If that God exists, then I will become a theist.
You hear that, ladies and gents? We all have to go by with wild heart and forget history, forget about everything that's happened in history, forget about this today. The only God that we can talk about is the definition that our heart believes. And y'all wonder why you guys get embarrassed when y'all come in here and y'all talk to Christians. My goodness.
No, you're not understanding me, and it's not your fault. I'm not blaming you. I'm just trying to explain. For me to become a theist, for me to believe in a God, I have to believe in my definition of God. I'm not telling anyone else what to believe.
You're already a theist.
What to believe in.
You're already a theist. You're already a theist. Let's get that straight. You worship yourself, and I think you get off on it. Okay? You already showed earlier that you are your own final ruler and your own final last authority, and you're the person that dictates what is right and wrong in your life. You are in the center of your own universe. You even go by your own definitions when it goes by who and what God is. We call that self-worship. You probably didn't know that existed, right? When you yourself a little bit too much. You cannot escape this conversation by just going after the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. You can't do it. Can't do it. You think that by denying, you was told by your atheist leaders that all you had to do was deny Christianity, and that made you atheist. I don't believe in a Christian God. Therefore, God doesn't exist. No God exists because, okay. Mm-hmm.
No.
You can't even get into a conversation with me until you understand that you're not an atheist. That's the first thing that you got to understand.
Again, my God is a supernatural being that created the universe. You said I'm not an atheist because I worship myself. First of all, I'm not a supernatural being who created the universe. Even if I did worship myself, that still wouldn't make me a theist.
Let me ask you a question. Why is it wrong to steal?
Oh, that's kind of out of left field.
Why is it wrong to steal?
Because it's against the well-being of conscious creatures.
Why is it wrong to steal again?
Because
no, wait, this again. Why is it wrong to steal again?
because it's against the well-being of conscious creatures.
Oh, okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is wrong to steal because it goes against the well-being of other people. If you go against the well-being of other people, ladies and gents, then that means that what you're doing is a terrible thing, right? If you go against the well-being of somebody, right?
Can I have 2 sentences to explain my morality?
Yeah.
Just so you can understand it. Right. My morality is based on the subjective choice of well-being first. Then you get to objective decisions about it. You can come to objective conclusions. And it's, what do they call it? Situational as well. It's not the same all the time. The rules aren't the same all the time. It's situational. If there are people looting and you smash a window and steal something, that's wrong. If someone's having a heart attack and there's a defibrillator and you have to smash a window to get the defibrillator to bring them back to life, that is not wrong. It's the same action. You're still smashing a window to take something that isn't yours, but one is to save someone's life and one is to steal something. So my morality is situational. It changes, and it's based on well-being.
According to who?
Me. I get to decide my own morality. And you get to decide yours. If you want to.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this is what we learned from this atheist today. You get to discern what your own morality is. We don't have to listen to this because you get to decide what you actually believe. Let me show you why I'm eating my pretzel here to show you guys why he just pwned himself. All right. Exodus chapter 20 here, real quick. I want to show you something here real quick. Okay. So I don't need this. I can decide for myself what is right and what is wrong. Right? Don't worry. I'll bring you back here in a minute, Wildheart, because you don't. I mean, I'm kind of happy you don't got no experience with me. But Exodus chapter 20 says, and God spoke all these words, saying, I am the Lord thy God that have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. And then if you keep reading, it says, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. I don't need to listen to this. According to this atheist, it goes by what I think. So let me bring them in here and let me show everybody a quick example here real quick. I'm going to mute you here real quick. What I'm going to do, Wildheart, is I'm going to come to your house real quick, okay? Because I'm going to go by my brand of morality, all right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over there and, I'm going to go choppy. No, don't do that. Don't do this. But wait a minute. In my worldview, in my own little universe, there's nothing wrong with going choppy. So, you know what else I'm going to do?
Hold on a
minute. After I go over there and I do choppy, I'm going to go find the rest of your family. And I'm going to go get a 7-Up. I'm going to find all of the ones that suffer from diabetes. I'm going to open up their mouth, and I'm talking about like severe diabetes. And I'm going to shove this 7-Up down their throat and make them drink it. You want to know why? Because in my universe, there's nothing wrong with me doing this. And you want to know what? There's nobody to fact check me. I don't have to have a degree or anything like that, because I get to choose for myself. You know, the last time I checked, I believe that there was a certain group of people that thought this way. I think we call them criminals. So why would you take on the morality of a criminal instead of actually being someone who would submit themselves to a final authority or an absolute moral lawgiver? Sir, where is your degree? Where is your credentials? Where is anything that you have to show that you specialize in anything that has to do with morality? Where is it? And make sure the next thing that comes out your mouth. Where is your credential, sir?
I have no qualifications whatsoever, except for plastering. I was a plasterer for 15 years, but I have no formal education whatsoever. I left school at 14. But do you agree that criminals exist now? If someone chose to, if you chose to, you could go out and stab someone. You could do what you just said. you were going to do. You can do that now. So what is the difference? If you choose to go by the Bible and follow the rules of the Bible, fine, that's up to you. If I choose to go by other people and myself's well-being, and I do that, that's up to me. And criminals will still exist. You will still get people that follow their own morality and think it's fine to kill people. You're not solving anything. Everyone will go by their own morality. That's what happens now.
Okay. The stupidity of that argument that atheists like to use is you guys use criminology, you try to use criminals' morality in order to try to argue you can do whatever you want. That's dumb. For the reasons that I showed you that's dumb. Okay? All of us have to, in order to have a functional society, in order to have a productive society, all of us we absolutely must submit ourselves to a final authority. We have to submit ourselves to a moral law, to a moral lawgiver. And you sitting there saying that you can do that yourself, then for crying out loud, what's stopping some criminal on the street from doing even worse than I said to come to you? Because in his worldview, there's nothing wrong with that. We call those people criminals. Why would you argue that way? Now, why is this important? Because when you make yourself out to be the person in your life, to be the person that makes the final decisions about what is right and what is wrong, you make yourself out to be a god. Period. That is why a lot of times when you go to churches, when you hear even secular people talking, oh, this person thinks he's some type of god or something. Why? Because they believe that they can do whatever they want. Usually it's lawless people that walk around here calling themselves deities. Because they believe that they can do whatever they want and is based on their own moral code. You understand what I'm saying? It is a very incorrect way of dealing with morality. You need a basis for your morality in order to be able to make a statement like that. And atheists don't have a basis for it. In your worldview, everything and anything goes, and we can't have that.
For myself, I choose my morality. If someone else murders someone, I think that's wrong. I would send them to prison. I think that's wrong.
Why?
I'm saying is, all I can control is what I do, what I think, and my morality. I can't control anyone else's.
Why is it wrong?
They get to choose what they do, and they have to live by the consequences.
Hey, wow.
And I will think it's wrong if they murder someone. I'm not saying everyone can go out and do whatever they want.
Hey, wow. I'm going to propose something to you because this is the second time you came into my room and you wanted to go on and on about whether or not God exists. How about this? We have a moderated debate and we do it on somebody else's channel.
Yeah, that's fine.
I've got my
own channel. It's not got many views.
Let me talk to some of the people I know that are not Christians, or if you feel comfortable, we can do it on a Christian channel.
Yeah.
If you don't care, then I got a friend named Velcro on here. We can do it on True Empiricism's channel. There's some atheists on here that I know and some non-atheists. Matter of fact, I got this one guy named Draven. He might let me do it on his channel. And then there's a couple of other people that I can ask that we can do it on their channel or whatever. They're fair. The people I ask to do it.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. Because clearly you want to talk about this. So obviously when we have this debate, a lot of that burden is going to be on me to be able to give evidence for God's existence. And you obviously are going to go, nope, 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 nope. So let's have that debate. And we're going to figure out what we're going to do it, okay? In the future. You're going to need my email address to keep up with me, though. So let me give it to you here real quick. All right? Because I got to end this stream soon. My audience is going to be mad at me because I'm supposed to be talking about mutations. Let me see something. My email address. And this is anybody that actually wants to have a moderated debate where the other person's got to stay muted for like 15 minutes or whatever. It's faithful to God, not man at gmail.com. Faithful to God, not man at gmail.com. Faithful to God, not man at gmail.com. If you want to have something a little bit more structured, where there's a moderator and somebody's in charge of muting people when they over talk or whatever. That's not
Could you just put it in the private chat just so I can copy it as well?
Yeah, give me a second here.
So the topic will be, does God exist?
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah.
If you want to do a 2-on-2 debate, you can bring, and I recommend you do it, to be honest. I really recommend you get a second person because you need to organize your thoughts. I would get somebody who can debate with you, help you on some of your weak areas because you don't know what you're doing. So I would recommend you do that. All right. And then I'll get somebody, but we can do a 3-way or whatever. So where there's myself, you, and then maybe we'll bring a pagan. I can get Von Helton or somebody. I don't know.
Oh yeah, Von Helton. I know Von Helton. Not well, but I was supposed to make.
I can get him to agree to it. So and we can do a 3-way debate. I just got to find a channel to do it on.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not willing to go on any old channel. So I have to research the channel and make sure that they're willing to do it. I would go on Modern Day Debate, but they don't turn that place into a circus. I don't want to go there. You know who would be good? We can go to. It's this college professor that has a channel on here. I forgot her name. She ain't mad at me. I know Thompson is one of is part of it or whatever, but she has a channel. I can talk to her. I got her phone number. She ain't mad at me when I forgot her name. I'm gonna call her and we can have a debate there if you want.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
And we can take questions from the audience too.
Yeah.
When we got to agree on some rules though.
What about what time thing are you thinking of? Just so I can get everything sorted.
Well, it won't be now because I got a marathon coming up on Sunday. So we can do this debate. Yeah. Can you get a second person on short notice?
I'll try my best. I should be able to. Yeah.
I'll give you 2 weeks.
Oh yeah, that's plenty. Yeah.
I'll give you 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You can find somebody. I got several people who will want to jump on it, and we can debate here, or we can do it on these other channels that I'm thinking we can do it on. But the people I'm thinking, they're strict moderators. They're not going to play with that interrupting stuff.
Yeah, that's fine.
So, if I go on Beckel's channel, sometimes I think he's a little rough on me, so we can go on there.
I know Beckel actually. I've spoken to him quite a lot. I go on Piers Iam's channel as well. So
yeah, he can be hard on me, and I'm one of his friends or whatever. So. I can talk to Standing for Truth. We can go in there if you want. There's a couple of other channels we can go on.
Yeah, no problem. But I do have to go for now. It's 2:30 in the morning over in the UK, so I do have to get some sleep. But it's been great speaking to you again, and thanks everyone.
Sam, no hard feelings. This is just a conversation. I want to see you get saved.
All right. Yeah, we'll see if we can make that happen.
All
right. Thanks a lot. Cheers.
Later. All right, guys. So I'm going to wrap this video up. I'm sorry. We was to talk about mutations for the majority of the video. When they were talking about whether or not God existed again. So I'm going to set up a debate. If I get enough interest on this channel, I'll do it here. But if not, there are several YouTube channels on here that I wouldn't mind visiting and doing it on their channel with a separate moderator. So if anybody else is interested, we can do it on the Drunken Peasants. I haven't been on there in a while. I don't know if those guys can be serious, though. We'll see. I'll figure something out. But I can do it on my Sowing and Reaping channel. We'll see. But anyway, gonna have the G-Man Debate Coliseum, which I'm doing nothing with right now. I need to do something over there. But anyway, I'm gonna wrap up this video, guys. You guys have a good night. Until next time, this has been another edition of Preaching to the Choir Ministry, telling you guys to read your Bible and do what it says. I'm gonna play this music again about evolution. And you guys enjoy. If you missed this earlier, you missed a good one when I played this for my intro in the beginning. So enjoy.
Evolution, evolution, evolution. Evolution is a mystery. It's pseudoscience, secular trickery. You're not related to a dog. Your distant cousin is not a hog. Don't look at your family tree. There's no cousin dirty fleas. Evolution is a mystery. It's pseudoscience, secular trickery, a stupid religion for a cult, a bedtime story for adults. That's it given has no clue. Relatives aren't in a zoo. Evolution is a joke for all the morons smoking coke. Go back to school and learn this rule. Crack still kills and Jesus rules. Evolution dies today. Read your Bible and do what it says. You're not related to a dog. Your distant cousin is not a hog. Go look at your family tree. There's no cousin, dirty fleas. Evolution is a mystery. It's pseudoscience, secular trickery, a super religion for a cult, a bedtime story for adults. That's it given has no clue. Relatives aren't in a zoo. Evolution is a joke for all the morons smoking coke. Go back to school and learn its rule. Crack still kills and Jesus rules. Evolution dies today. Read your Bible and do what it says. Take your Bible and do what it says. Like you know what it's all you do. Evolution dies today for all the morons smoking coke. Go back to school and learn this rule. Crack still kills and Jesus rules. Evolution dies today. Read your Bible and do what it says. Take your Bible and do what it says. Read your Bible and do what it says. Everybody do what it says. Hey, read your Bible and do what it says. Read your Bible and do what it says. Read your Bible and do what it says. Back your bottle and do what it says.